Chapter 2437. It was easier said than done to kill the venerable sovereigns of the heavens. After Yu Shangyun finished speaking, she also felt extremely heavy. Then, she patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said softly, "If it was anyone else, I would definitely not have any hope for him. But you are different. You are full of variables. Of course, don't give yourself too much pressure. I want to return to the Nine Yang Divine Palace." Qin Yun smiled at Yu Shangyun. He knew that if he killed the Empyrean sovereigns, he would have to face the even more powerful 5 heavenly creation emperors. After that, there was also the descendant of the divine sun god, who was also a great threat. Yu Shangyun naturally knew that Qin Yun had many enemies. The only help she could give Qin Yun was to cultivate together with him, and help him raise his cultivation as quickly as possible. Yu Shangyun walked out of the floating cloud pagoda, put on her helmet, and then flew away without looking back, flying towards her mystic moon heaven city. Qin Yun looked at her back and sighed with melancholy. He did not know what kind of relationship he had with Yu Shangyun. Xiao Yun, she should be very strong now. Why can't she beat the heaven's sovereign Dizun? Ling Yun said, "The heaven's sovereign Dizun should be in a weakened state, right? With sister Shangyun's strength and the other Shun Tianjuans, won't you be able to suppress the supremes of the heavens?" Qin Yun put away the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and said, "She might be able to defeat the great heaven's emperors, but she can't kill them. Is it because of the heaven creating 5 emperors behind the heavenly emperors?" Ling Yun said, "She's afraid that the heaven creating 5 emperors will retaliate against the divine moon clan. The 5 heaven creation emperors might not all help the Empyreans. Maybe only the parents of the Empyreans will help." Qin Yun shook his head and said, "Sister Shangyun knows very well that there are some people she can't kill, but I can kill them. I understand. Just like the myriad world's 9 suns and the 9 heavens, they are unable to completely eliminate the descendants of the divine sun, but the myriad world's 9 suns think that you can." Ling Yun said, "Therefore, the hope of eliminating the descendants of the divine sun is pinned on you." "Yes, that's it." Qin Yun sighed and said with a self-deprecating smile, "Perhaps this is my specialty as a tool. That's why I'm still alive." After Yu Shangyun left, Qin Yun took a whiff of his own hand. The wonderful fragrance from Yu Shangyun's body still lingered, causing his mind to be in turmoil. He recalled the various wonderful experiences he had with Yu Shangyun. As Qin Yun flew in the air, he quickly dispersed the fragrance on his body to prevent any misunderstandings. Because Yu Shangyun did not want others to know about the relationship between them. The Sword Forest Desert is very big. It will take some time for Qin Yun to reach the 9 Yang Divine Palace in the center. As he flew over, he suddenly felt a familiar aura. Not long after, a woman wearing a simple and elegant yellow dress flew over. This yellow-dressed woman was very beautiful and had an elegant temperament. Her face was as fair as the moon, and her jade-like face had a gentle smile on it. "Princess," Qin Yun was somewhat surprised and said with a smile, "Why are you here? You knew I was here." Luo Yaofeng was one of the 3 great god kings of the 9 heavens, the Shadow God King, and the 9 heavens goddess. The last time Qin Yun saw her, she was very weak. But later on, she went to the divine moon of the heavens. Now that she was with the divine moon clan, not only did she recover her original strength, she was even much stronger than she was back then. Therefore, when Qin Yun sensed her aura earlier, he was not sure if it was her, because it was a very strong aura of a divine lord. "Of course I know you're here." Luo Yaofeng smiled charmingly. "Brother Yun, I'm here to welcome you back. Aren't you happy?" "Of course I'm happy," Qin Yun said with a smile. Luo Yaofeng flew to Qin Yun's side and grabbed his arm. She said with a gentle smile, "It seems like Sister Shangyun came earlier than me. Have you seen her?" Only Luo Yaofeng knew that it was Yu Shangyun who helped Qin Yun fuse with the divine moon bloodline, divine origin, and knew the secret within. This, Qin Yun only smiled. "I know, there's no need to say any more," Luo Yaofeng said with a smile, her eyes filled with ambiguity. She was very clear about the relationship between Qin Yun and Yu Shangyun. Furthermore, during this period of time in the Divine Moon Clan and the Guanghan Palace, she understood Qin Yun even more. Qin Yun felt somewhat awkward as he said with a smile, "Princess, don't tease me. Hurry up and tell me, why did you come to find me?" Luo Yaofeng said with a smile, "Brother Yun, do I have to come find you for something? I just missed you. I knew that you were back, so I specially came to welcome you." Qin Yun brought Luo Yaofeng and landed on top of a sword mountain. "Princess, you are after all the 9 heavens shadow god king, the 9 heavens goddess, the 9 heavens female devil slayer. You should be more reserved." Qin Yun laughed because Luo Yaofeng had been hugging his arm the entire time. Her delicate body was also sticking close to him. "Umph. Do you think I'm not as good as Sister Shangyun?" Luo Yaofeng pretended to be angry as she puffed up her cheeks and looked at Qin Yun with hidden bitterness. However, her eyes were filled with smiles. "That's not it." Qin Yun did not know why Luo Yaofeng approached him. "Even Sister Shangyun is not reserved. Why should I be?" Luo Yaofeng laughed. "Brother Yun, you are indeed easy to bully, truly worthy of being honest Qin." Qin Yun already knew that Luo Yaofeng was quite mischievous. He immediately pinched Luo Yaofeng's face and scolded with a smile. "How do you know that I'm easy to bully? Did you learn some bad tricks from someone?" "Tianzi taught me." Luo Yaofeng chuckled. "This demoness." Qin Yun shook his head and smiled. "All right, I won't tease you anymore." Although Luo Yaofeng said that, she still held Qin Yun's hand and rubbed the back of his hand. She pursed her lips and said with a smile, "I came to find you because I have something to discuss with you." Qin Yun knew it and said with a smile, "What is it?" Luo Yaofeng looked around and her expression suddenly became serious. She said, "Release the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. Let's go in and talk." "Why do we have to go in?" Qin Yun raised his eyebrows because Yu Shangyun had also asked him to release the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. "Let's get down to business." Luo Yaofeng was originally very serious, but she suddenly thought of something and could not help but giggle. "Look at how scared you are. Do you think I'm going to eat you?" No. Qin Yun released the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda and entered with Luo Yaofeng. Just as they entered, Luo Yaofeng's nose twitched slightly. Then, her phoenix-like eyes revealed a smile. "It's Sister Shangyun's smell. It's so fragrant. It's very rare for a heavenly incense to emit such a fragrance." "What are you talking about?" Qin Yun curled his lips and said, "Hurry up and talk about your business." "Serious business. I need the cooperation of the two of us. But don't worry, my cultivation is higher than yours, so I will put in more effort." Luo Yaofeng's beautiful eyes flashed with charm and mischievousness. Qin Yun could not help but pinch her soft and beautiful face and scolded with a smile. "Princess, don't take liberties with an honest person like me. The consequences will be very serious." "How serious? Use Dragon Claw on me?" Luo Yaofeng stuck out her tongue and laughed. Qin Yun rolled his eyes and let go of her face. Then he rubbed her face with both hands and said with a smile, "Hurry up and tell me about your matter. I'm in a hurry to return to the 9-yang Divine Palace." Luo Yaofeng pried open Qin Yun's hand and chuckled. "Face-rubbing maniac." Following that, she took out a blue pearl the size of a watermelon. "What is this? Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl?" Qin Yun frowned as he looked at it. Then he shook his head and said, "It doesn't look like a Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl." The smile on Luo Yaofeng's face disappeared. She had become very serious. Just a moment ago, she was gentle, elegant, and charming. It was as if she had suddenly become a completely different person. Her eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Her beautiful, jade-like face was ice-cold and filled with a domineering might. The most frightening thing was that her beautiful eyes suddenly turned red. Waves of killing intent accompanied by divine power surged out from her body, causing her long hair to flutter. "Brother Yun, this is not the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl." Luo Yaofeng looked at Qin Yun with her bloodshot eyes. Her expression was extremely cold as she said in a cold voice, "This is a very important thing. I only gave it to you because I trust you, and you must not reveal this matter to anyone." "Can't I tell Sister Shanyun?" Qin Yun asked. "No, you can't even tell Tianqiru," Luo Yaofeng said coldly. Her red eyes stared intently at Qin Yun, and her voice was domineering. At this moment, she was like the shadow god king, like the female devil slayer of the 9 heavens. Qin Yun nodded solemnly and said, "I will definitely not leak it out. What did you say we were going to do together? Is it related to this pearl?" He also did not know what was inside the pearl, but seeing Luo Yaofeng's situation, he knew that the pearl was very important. "Let's join hands and break the pearl. As for what's inside, I'll naturally tell you after we break it open," Luo Yaofeng said. "Quickly release the divine King Heavenly Seal." Qin Yun immediately took out the divine King Heavenly Seal. Luo Yaofeng's Yushan seal suddenly flew out like a small mountain that was half a meter tall. Under Luo Yaofeng's control, the pearl floated in the air. "We will use the Heavenly Seal to attack from both sides. Use all your strength," Luo Yaofeng said. "Only the power of the Heavenly Seal can break through that protective shell." Qin Yun also wanted to know what was inside. Luo Yaofeng would not harm him, so she naturally would not let him fall into danger. Therefore, he was not worried that anything else would happen. "All right," Qin Yun nodded. 1, 2, 3. Begin." After Luo Yaofeng shouted, Qin Yun's divine King Heavenly Seal and Yushan Seal suddenly attacked from both sides. The blue pearl was sandwiched in the middle. After suffering a violent impact, it exploded with a very violent divine power. The divine power burst out, causing Qin Yun to let out a strange cry in alarm. And at the instant it exploded, Luo Yaofeng also flashed in front of Qin Yun. She hugged Qin Yun tightly as a red mist surged out from her body. It tore apart all her clothes and formed a shield to protect her and Qin Yun. Qin Yun hurriedly waved his arm and used the 9-Sun Divine Spirit to release the Sun Heavenly Shield to block the incoming divine power. Fortunately, the 9-Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda was strong enough. Otherwise, it would have been torn apart long ago. Qin Yun hugged Luo Yaofeng and felt that her delicate body was originally warm, but it suddenly became very cold. The divine power in her body gradually weakened, causing her to become extremely weak. "Princess, are you all right?" Qin Yun said softly. "I'm fine. What about you?" Luo Yaofeng's voice was still strong. She recovered very quickly. Chapter 2438. Luo Yaofeng hugged Qin Yun tightly. Even though the Sun Heavenly Shield could block it, the intense light that erupted was still accompanied by a strong pressure. The impact forced her to stick close to Qin Yun. Although Qin Yun was hugging a delicate beauty, his attention was currently outside the Sun Heavenly Shield. After Luo Yaofeng's pearl exploded, the power it produced was so strong that Qin Yun felt it was very familiar. When he saw this pearl before, he thought it was the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl. And after the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl was broken, the energy inside was also very powerful. When Luo Yaofeng opened the pearl, the berserk energy that erupted out was just like the explosion of the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl. Even the divine power was somewhat similar. This meant that even if Luo Yaofeng's pearl was not the Heavenly Law Inheritance Pearl, it was definitely something similar, especially the power of the seal. It was even stronger than the Heavenly Law Seal. Qin Yun gently pinched Luo Yaofeng's waist again and reprimanded. "Look, even if you block this level of power, you won't be able to live for long. You actually don't plan on telling me. Are you going to endure it yourself?" "I know my wrongs." Luo Yaofeng shrunk into Qin Yun's embrace and said coquettishly, "I won't dare to do it again." Now that she was leaning on Qin Yun and hugging him tightly, she felt incomparably safe. She could completely relax and wait for the energy to dissipate. Qin Yun opened his heavenly eye, wanting to see through the intense energy. He wanted to see what was inside the pearl, to actually use such a powerful seal. Just as he was looking very seriously, Luo Yaofeng chuckled and said, "Brother Ayun, you're really an honest person." Qin Yun hugged Luo Yaofeng and only placed one hand on her waist. He did not move around. Qin Yun said with a smile, "Have you forgotten about my dragon claw hand? Sushin also told me about this." Luo Yaofeng laughed tenderly. "But I feel that you're really honest right now." Qin Yun's hand slowly moved up, causing Luo Yaofeng to suddenly feel nervous. However, Qin Yun's hand only went to the back of her head and lightly knocked. "Illo!" Luo Yaofeng shouted and puffed up her red cheeks. She looked rather adorable. "Quickly tell me, what's in that pearl?" Qin Yun asked. "You should have told me beforehand. Why are you acting so mysterious? Look, how dangerous it is." Luo Yaofeng was also very impressed with Qin Yun. She had truly underestimated Qin Yun. She believed that with Qin Yun's present strength, there was no way he could withstand that kind of eruption. Therefore, she did not tell Qin Yun and wanted to withstand it alone. But now, Qin Yun has easily blocked that eruption. "Even if I tell you in advance, you won't know what it is." Luo Yaofeng's expression turned serious once again. He looked up at Qin Yun and said, "Brother Ayun, I trust you very much. That's why I'm handing my other life to you." "Another life?" Qin Yun frowned. "Yes, that's my secret, and I wasn't supposed to give it to anyone, but I trust you, so I gave it to you for safekeeping." Luo Yaofeng's cheek was pressed against Qin Yun's chest as he said faintly, "You saw it just now? My Yushan seal has been destroyed. I am no longer the Shadow God King." Luo Yaofeng's Yushan seal head had indeed been destroyed, but Qin Yun's godly king heavenly seal was fine. Qin Yun gently supported her flawless jade-like back and said, "Don't worry, I will definitely keep it safe for you." "What is that thing?" "You wouldn't understand even if I told you. You just need to keep it safe for me. Moreover, that thing might be of great use to you, allowing you to kill venerable sovereigns of the heavens," Luo Yaofeng said. Qin Yun pinched her back and said with a smile, "I don't understand. I told you not to look down on me." Luo Yaofeng muttered, "I'd better not tell you, in case you go around spouting nonsense. If your big sister Shangyun and big sister Kiru find out about this, they will scold me." Qin Yun suddenly thought of something, because when Luo Yaofeng mentioned Yu Shangyun and Xie Kiru, they were once goddesses of the nine heavens, and Luo Yaofeng, who is leaning on Qin Yun, is also a nine heavens goddess. This is something they have in common. Luo Yaofeng had just said that it was her other life, which meant that it was extremely important to her. Then the thing sealed inside the Luo Yaofeng pearl must be extremely important. Could it be bloodline heavenly rune? Qin Yun asked. "Ah!" Luo Yaofeng shouted in alarm, then raised her head to look at Qin Yun in shock. Her cherry mouth opened slightly in shock. Qin Yun pinched her waist again and said with a smile, "You still say that I don't understand? Look, didn't I guess it? You're so annoying." Luo Yaofeng lightly hammered Qin Yun's chest, frowned and said with slight annoyance, "How do you know about the bloodline heavenly rune?" Qin Yun chuckled and said, "I already said, don't look down on me. Don't you know who I am?" "All right, my brother Yun is awesome." Luo Yaofeng pouted and said with a charming smile. Qin Yun never expected that Luo Yaofeng would give him the incomparably precious bloodline heavenly rune. He said seriously, "Princess, won't it affect you by giving me the bloodline heavenly rune?" "Of course not. Although the bloodline heavenly rune is very important to me, it won't affect me after I leave. If the bloodline heavenly rune is on me, if I die one day, the bloodline heavenly rune will be snatched away and my true root will be taken away." "Then does Sister Shangyun also have a bloodline heavenly rune?" Qin Yun asked. He had just discussed this matter with Yu Shangyun, but Yu Shangyun did not tell him. "She does, but I don't know what the situation is with her bloodline heavenly rune. I asked her some time ago, but she didn't answer me," Luo Yaofeng said. Qin Yun suspected that there might be a problem with Yu Shangyun's bloodline heavenly rune. He decided to talk to Yu Shangyun about this matter in the future to see if she needed help. "Then why didn't you allow me to tell Sister Shangyun?" Qin Yun said, If she finds out in the future, she will definitely be angry that you acted on your own and blame me for hiding it from her. I'm afraid she'll be jealous. You are her man. I'm so close to you. She'll definitely be jealous of me. Luo Yao Feng puffed up her face. Her eyes are filled with hidden bitterness. What is this? Qin Yun is somewhat speechless. Yuelan is still the best, Luo Yao Feng said with a smile. She won't be jealous, and she's also very close to me. Qin Yun rolled his eyes, then pinched her face and said, My princess, quickly tell me the truth. Why can't you tell Sister Shangyun? I already said, I'm afraid she'll be jealous. Luo Yao Feng lowered her head and said in a low voice, I don't believe you. Qin Yun chuckled and said, Don't lie to me. Quickly say it. Brother Yun, we haven't known each other for long. How do you know me so well? Luo Yao Feng smiled mischievously. When I was in the Nine Heavens, I was very lonely because no one understood me. Qin Yun said with a smile, Quickly say it. What else are you hiding from me? Luo Yao Feng sighed and said, I can't tell Sister Shangyun because Bloodline Heavenly Rune has a certain level of danger. She will never allow me to give it to you because it will bring you danger. She hurriedly explained, Brother Yun, I'm really not trying to harm you. I know there's a certain level of risk, but Bloodline Heavenly Rune might be of great help to you. Also, if I give you my Bloodline Heavenly Rune, it will make me feel more secure because I trust you. Qin Yun naturally knows that Luo Yao Feng won't harm him. Otherwise, she wouldn't have given him such an important thing. The reason why Luo Yao Feng is a female devil slayer is probably because her temperament is more free and easy. Therefore, her way of doing things is completely different from Yushang Yun's. What kind of danger will it bring me? Qin Yun is not afraid because he already has Bloodline Heavenly Rune in his hands, and it's even Siekaru's. Of course, Siekaru didn't tell him about Bloodline Heavenly Rune back then, probably because of safety considerations. I don't know. In short, Bloodline Heavenly Rune is very important. If Heavenly Sovereigns know about it, they will definitely fight for it. Other God Kings or Heaven Creation Divine Palace, they will fight for it with all their might. It can be said that it's even more important than your Divine King Heavenly Seal. Luo Yao Feng said. Then what kind of help can it bring me? Qin Yun doesn't know much about Bloodline Heavenly Rune. Furthermore, the true Bloodline Heavenly Rune is inside a box. Qin Yun can only fuse the box with a Myriad Heaven Divine Saber to make the Divine Saber stronger. He didn't find any other use. I also don't know much about Bloodline Heavenly Rune. I only know that it is one of the lifelines of the Nine Heavens. It is also my lifeline. Luo Yao Feng said. Qin Yun's heart trembled. Siekaru's Bloodline Heavenly Rune is also in his hands. He has always held such an important thing in his hands, but Siekaru never worried about it. She also never mentioned the importance of Bloodline Heavenly Rune. It could be seen how much she trusts him. Finally, the burst of energy gradually dissipated. On the ground floor of the Nine-Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda, there's a box. The box is alternating between black and white. The heavenly rune on the surface looks like bulging veins and blood vessels. Big and small heavenly runes crisscrossed and wrapped around the box. Qin Yun always thought that the box's surface is sealed by Bloodline Heavenly Rune, but now it seems that the Bloodline Heavenly Rune is inside the box, influencing the runes outside, making the runes on the box of Bloodline. The truly powerful Bloodline Heavenly Rune is inside the box. As for how to open the box, Qin Yun still doesn't know. Yushi once said that she can open it, but later on she still said that it is very difficult to open it. It can be seen that she knows something. Qin Yun promptly took out a coat and draped it over Luo Yao Feng's body. Just now, in order to resist the burst of power, she released formidable divine power and ripped apart her clothes. Thank you. Luo Yao Feng laughed. She also has clothes. She promptly took out a white dress and put it on. Qin Yun picked up the Bloodline Heavenly Rune box. It is more or less the same as the one he obtained before. How do I open the box? Qin Yun asked. It can't be opened. It has always been like this. Brother Yun, you are so awesome. You must have a way to open it and use it properly. Luo Yao Feng said. I will do my best. Chapter 2439. Yu Shangyun actually did not tell Qin Yun about this. New goddess? Bloodline heavenly rune is truly mystical. Qin Yun said, "Are all 9 heavenly goddesses immortal?" Luo Yao Feng nodded, then shook his head and said, "I will die. If I die completely, and not even my soul remains, then corresponding to my bloodline heavenly rune, a new 9 heavenly goddess will be created to replace me. So, this is how to be reborn? I thought I would have the memories of my previous life." Qin Yun said with frown, "If that's the case, then even if the other 9 heavenly goddesses are dead, new ones should have already appeared, right? I don't know. The main thing is where the bloodline heavenly rune are. If they are all sealed, the 9 heavenly goddesses can't be created again, unless we find those bloodline heavenly rune and undo the seal. A new 9 heavenly goddess will be created," Luo Yaofeng said. Qin Yun knows that bloodline heavenly rune is the lifeline of the 9 heavens. It can be used to create the 9 heavens. Therefore, he has his own thoughts. "I want to return to 9 Yang Divine Palace. Are you coming with me?" Qin Yun asked. "I won't go. I want to return to Divine Moon Heaven City." Luo Yaofeng stuck out her tongue and said with smile, "If I leave for too long, your sister Shang Yun will suspect me." "What, my sister Shang Yun?" Qin Yun pinched her face and said with smile. Luo Yaofeng and Qin Yun walked out of the 9-sun heaven raising pagoda. When she left, she even kissed Qin Yun's face and then flew away very happily towards Divine Moon Heaven City. Qin Yun stored the 9-sun heaven raising pagoda and continued to return to 9 Yang Divine Palace. "This time, no one will stop me, right?" Qin Yun shook his head and smiled, then increased his speed and flew in the sky. After flying for half a day, he finally saw the familiar Grand Palace. 9 Yang Divine Palace is located in the prairie in the middle of the Through Heaven Sword Formation. Under the illumination of the 3 divine suns, the entire palace looks even more magnificent and magnificent. The tall and majestic palace is releasing waves of intense light. It is dazzling and majestic. After Qin Yun approached, he was sensed by the 9 Yang Divine Palace. Then, he was sucked away by a very strong spatial power and directly teleported into the heavenly palace. "Little palace spirit, I have returned." Qin Yun smiled and walked towards Heaven Palace Pagoda. A petite woman in a red dress suddenly appeared beside Qin Yun. The little hall spirit appeared beside Qin Yun. "Big Brother Palace King." The young palace spirit shouted happily, "You're finally back. We were all worried about you." Qin Yun rubbed the little temple spirit's head and pinched her pretty face. He said with a smile, "How could anything happen to me?" "That heavenly rule, orthodoxy," the little hall spirit said in a low voice. "I heard that the myriad world's divine court extracted a portion of heavenly rule orthodoxy about you, saying that you are destined to be killed by the supremacy sovereigns of the heavens. That thing is bullshit." Qin Yun patted the little palace spirit's head and said with a smile, "What kind of storm has your big brother palace king not seen? Besides, in this world, besides myself, who else can dictate my fate?" "That's true." The little palace spirit smiled sweetly. "I'll call the White Commander and the others over." "All right." Qin Yun entered the hall of Heaven Palace Pagoda and sat in the seat of honor. He waited for a while. White Death, Xiaohua, the Mountain God, the Dragon Palace Elder, the Sword Palace Elder, the Heavenly Lion King, and dozens of other higher-ups of 9 Yang Divine Palace entered the hall one after another. When they saw Qin Yun return, they all heaved a sigh of relief and chatted for a while. Although Qin Yun was a palace king, he did not put on airs. When he saw some seniors, even if they were not strong, he would still address them as seniors. After that, the higher-ups in the hall reported to Qin Yun about the situation during this period of time, mainly about the progress of 9 Yang Divine Palace's development and the problems they were facing. The disciples of 9 Yang Divine Palace grew very fast. Many of them had the bloodline of the 9 Yang royal family. In addition to the various legacies of 9 Yang Divine Palace and the support of the myriad world's divine sons, it was difficult for them to not grow fast. Although they grew very fast, there was still a gap when compared to the forces from other divine realms. Fortunately, the gap was obviously shrinking. There were three main problems that Nine Yang Divine Palace was currently facing. Firstly, there were threats from many powerful forces, causing the disciples of Nine Yang Divine Palace to be in great danger when they went out. Secondly, with the growth of Nine Yang Divine Palace, the disciples became stronger and stronger. All sorts of seniors were constantly breaking through, and the resources they needed also increased. The lack of resources was also a very serious problem. Thirdly, the disciples were very nervous. It was mainly because of the appearance of the Empyrean sovereigns and the prophecy of the heavenly rules orthodoxy, causing the entire Nine Yang Divine Palace to be filled with panic. After Qin Yun heard this, he also thought of a way to deal with it. He said, "Facing the threat from many forces has caused everyone to be under great pressure. I can understand that. Everyone, you don't have to worry about this. This time, I went to the myriad world's divine sun and made friends with two powerful forces." After that, Qin Yun briefly explained the situation of the Purple Sun Fairy race and the Sun Dragon race. Speaking of the Sun Dragon race, the few seniors of the Dragon Palace were very excited because they had long known that this race would appear. This made them feel a lot more at ease. And during this period of time, the Purple Sun Fairy race had also become quite famous. It was indeed a powerful force. However, there are people who are somewhat puzzled. Palace King, some time ago, the Purple Sun Fairy race's Princess Feng Feng brought a group of Purple Sun Fairies here and shouted loudly outside, wanting to break the heavenly sword formation. She said that you killed her big brother Dagwang. The one who spoke is Sword Hall's Jian Shirtian. Is that so? Qin Yun is stunned. He had indeed been misunderstood by Princess Feng Feng, but the Purple Sun Fairy race's Elf Emperor knows the truth. Furthermore, Mei Dawang's soul was also saved by Qin Yun. It is with the Elf Emperor. The Elf Emperor did not tell Princess Feng Feng the truth. Qin Yun knows the Elf Emperor's character. If the Elf Emperor returned, he would definitely tell the truth to Princess Feng Feng. The Elf Emperor is on the Purple Sun Heavenly Island outside the three divine suns. He obtained the permission of the divine Sun Heavenly Beast to stay on the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. Later on, Qin Yun does not know if the Elf Emperor returned to the divine universe Purple Sun Mountain. Princess Feng Feng is still blaming Qin Yun. That means that the Elf Emperor did not return. It is extremely likely that he met with an accident. Do you have any news of the Elf Emperor? Qin Yun asked with a solemn expression. The Elf Emperor is missing. The Nine Heavens Divine Race and the Nine Heavens Demon Race all said that you did it. The Dragon Palace Elder said. Qin Yun took out a soul-chasing talisman. It can track the Elf Emperor. The soul-chasing talisman has a weak light, indicating that the Elf Emperor's soul is still there. Don't worry. I have an extremely good relationship with the Elf Emperor. It's just that girl Princess Feng Feng misunderstood me. This is the Elf Emperor's soul-chasing talisman. He must be in some kind of predicament right now. Qin Yun said with a frown. Palace King, let's take action immediately and save the Elf Emperor. This way, we can rope in the Purple Sun Fairy race. The Heavenly Lion King said. Don't take any large-scale actions for now. During this period of time, many powers will definitely be watching us even more closely. Qin Yun said, the main reason is that I killed a large group of people outside. Previously, outside the Heavenly Sword Formation, Illusion Race's Elder Phantom Shadow and a few other Heaven Monarchs brought many flying ships and wandered around. Later on, the Heavenly Tao Altar appeared, and then a very powerful Nine Dragons' brilliant sun tribulation appeared, turning all those ships into dregs. Even the voices of the Venerables came from the Heavenly Emperor's city. With such a huge commotion, all the big shots here are very clear about it. They just didn't expect that it was actually done by Qin Yun. They all thought that it was Tian Daozi's doing. Seeing that Qin Yun has such strength, everyone seems to have eaten a tranquilizer and feel even more at ease. As for resources, we are currently lacking medicinal ingredients. We need to cooperate with the Myriad Realms Divine Court. I will go look for the Divine Judge. Qin Yin said. As for the materials for refining talismans, we can also seek help from the Myriad Realm's divine court. This can only be solved by Qin Yun's appearance. The big shots present all nodded. With the help of the Myriad Realm's divine court, the problem of lack of resources will definitely be solved. Soon after, Qin Yun talked about the illusion race and the descendants of the divine sun, as well as the mysterious 5 heavenly creation emperors. The heavenly universe divine sun above the 9 heavens was facing destruction, and the divine sons of the other divine realms were also about to fall. These matters are all unknown to the upper echelons of the 9 Yang divine palace, and they are also very important, because this is related to the future situation of the heavens divine desolate. In the future, the clash between the various powers will be carried out by the heavenly sovereigns, the descendants of the divine sun, and the heaven creation divine palace. After Qin Yin finished speaking, he said to the Dragon Palace Elder, Dragon Palace Elder, quickly contact Xinyu Tianlong and have them return quickly. The Sun Dragon race will arrive here very soon. At that time, I will do my best to have the Sun Dragon race help you and make you stronger. Yes. The Dragon Palace Elder nodded. He is secretly excited in his heart. With the help of the Sun Dragon race, the disciples of the 9 Yang Divine Palace won't have to panic so much. After the meeting, Qin Yun followed those seniors to help the outstanding disciples carve runes or totems, allowing the strength of those disciples to increase by a level. And now, Shimen Dazhuang is bragging everywhere about how Qin Yun drove away Elder Phantom and the others. Qin Yun busied himself for an entire day and finally helped several hundred outstanding disciples carve totems suitable for them, allowing their strength to increase by a lot. Next, Qin Yun contacted the space god and the nameless old man and asked them to come over for a chat. Through Heaven Sword formations, people are in great danger when they go out. If they have the help of space teleportation, they don't need to worry. Next day, at daybreak, the space god and the nameless old man arrived at the Heavenly Palace Pavilion's main hall. Old brother Space, are you busy? Qin Yun said with smile. Not very busy. I am refining a teleportation tool. The space god took out a pearl and threw it at Qin Yun. Xian Rujing also used the space god's teleportation tool to run around a deal with those man-eating devils. Take me to place. I have a friend who might be in danger. Qin Yun looked at the nameless old man and said with smile, It might be dangerous. Will you also come? Don't look down on me. I'm not weak at all. The nameless old man said with proud smile, Palace King, don't forget that I created primal chaos, divine sun. Chapter 2440. The Elf Emperor's location is still very far from here. If they were to fly there, it would take at least a few days. If they had the space god to bring them there, it might only take 1 to 4 hours. Let's leave the Heavenly Sword formation first. It's not good for me to use it here. The space god looked at the soul-chasing talisman and roughly estimated the distance. The nameless old man is not weak, and with the space god by his side, Qin Yun will be able to find the Elf Emperor easily, even if he has to face a strong enemy. Qin Yun greeted the little palace spirit, then took out the heaven-leaping shuttle and entered with the nameless old man and the space god. After entering, Qin Yun controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to fly. The heaven-leaping shuttle has been infused with divine power by the space god. It can quickly shuttle through space and quickly fly out of the Heavenly Sword formation. At this moment, the space god is controlling the heaven-leaping shuttle. Brother, shouldn't this heaven-leaping shuttle be strengthened? Qin Yun said with smile, I keep feeling that it's not easy to use right now. It should have been strengthened long ago. The space of the divine desolate is also strengthening day by day. Your heaven-leaping shuttle was refined by me many years ago, and it has been damaged many times. It has long been unable to keep up. As the space god spoke, he controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to travel through space and quickly left the Heavenly Sword formation. This caused Qin Yun to feel very envious. He can only travel through space through the little Queen Ant's space divine power pearl, but it consumes a lot of energy. He feels that the main reason is because the heaven-leaping shuttle is too backward, so it consumes a lot of energy and is not easy to control. Then help me modify it, Qin Yun said. After the space god controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to travel through space, he did not immediately reach the Elf Emperor. He took out the soul-chasing talisman, confirmed the distance again, and began the second shuttle. Don't you have the Space Queen Ant? Didn't you research anything? The space god said with a smile. You don't even use the Space Queen Ant. What a waste. The nameless old man curled his lips and said, Qin Yun only asked the little Queen Ant to help him create the Space Divine Power Pearl, or when he really needed it. He let her bring him into the dark space to pass through the barrier. My spatial Queen Ant is still very small. I only asked her to help me condense the Spatial Divine Power Pearl. Qin Yun said, Besides, I don't have the time to study space. The space god said with a smile, Brother, regarding the use of space, you should figure it out yourself. I won't help you. Why? Qin Yun asked anxiously. In order not to let you rely on me. You're so talented, you'll definitely have some achievements in the Tao of space. The god of space chuckled. To be honest, I really hope that you can surpass me and impart some insights to me. Qin Yun thought about it and felt that if he put in more effort into the spatial aspect, he would definitely be able to make a breakthrough. His nether sun's power can distort space. It means that he has foundation in this aspect. All right. Qin Yun also decided to modify the heaven-leaping shuttle himself. Here, the spatial god took out a large book and placed it on the ground. He smiled and said, This is the Heaven Leap treasure tome that I organized. The cover of this book was made of white jade. It was as tall as a person and could only be hugged with open arms. After opening it, each page was a slightly thick and huge jade board. The jade board was engraved with many flowing runes. It's a Tao spread rune. These runes are all spatial runes. They're all divine runes. Many thanks, old brother. Qin Yun promptly thanked him with a smile, then stored the heaven-leaping treasured scripture. The space god adjusted the direction and started the heaven-leaping shuttle again. Not long after, the heaven-leaping shuttle suddenly stopped. The space god's expression became grave and stern as he said, I am not good at fighting. You guys go. What's the situation outside? Qin Yun can see the situation outside from the control room, but he doesn't sense any danger. The nameless old man is the same. He looked at the fiery red mountain range ahead and said, Old brother, why did you suddenly stop? Is there an enemy outside? There's a very strong barrier in front of us. The space god said, The Elf Emperor should be sealed inside that barrier. Qin Yun said, There must be other people guarding the surroundings. Who wants to capture the Elf Emperor? The nameless old man looked ahead and said, Is there even need to ask? It must be the heavenly divine nation. The heavenly divine nation coerced and enticed many powerful races to pledge loyalty to them. If anyone resists, their race will either be exterminated or sealed. This damned heavenly divine nation. Qin Yun cursed in low voice. The heavenly venerables are truly lawless. He is the new heavenly Tao. He is the heavenly law. The space god said with bitter smile. He still wants to meddle in the affairs of the myriad realms' divine court, and we can only bitterly hold on. Maybe we will have to compromise. Compromise? You can't do that. Does the divine judge really have such a plan? Qin Yun took out the myriad heaven divine saber and prepared to fight. The myriad realms divine court pursues order in the divine desolate. If the heavenly divine nation can guarantee it, the divine judge will definitely compromise and join hands with the heavenly divine nation to maintain order in the divine desolate. The space god said, Even if the divine judge agrees, can he be trusted? Qin Yun sighed and said, If the divine judge agrees, he will definitely be cheated. The space god said, We can't interfere with the divine judge's decision. If the heavenly divine nation doesn't abide by the agreement, we will also break the agreement and eventually walk down the path of confrontation. Old man, I will go out and take a look first. You and old brother wait for my news here. Qin Yun said, All right. If you want to fight, don't fight alone. You must call me. The old man said. Qin Yun left the heaven-leaping shuttle and concealed himself. After landing on ground, he quietly released a strong aura to attract the people guarding the surroundings. Not long after, he sensed many auras approaching. Sure enough, there are people coming and they are not weak. Qin Yun used the mysterious penetration divine ability to enter the inside of a rock and observe the outside. Not long after, 5 people flew down from the surrounding fiery red mountains. These people arrived at the place where Qin Yun released his aura. They all have a tool in their hands. It is used to sense the aura of souls and divine power. They are only sacred god realm. Although Qin Yun is also a sacred god realm, he is not even afraid of Tao god realm cultivators, let alone these patrolling sacred gods. There is one from 8 Tao race. The other 4 are all from 9 heavens divine race. Qin Yun immediately saw that these people are nodding, and those 5 people, through the tools in their hands, quickly detected soul fluctuations in the surroundings. Then they walked towards the boulder where Qin Yun is hiding. Xiao Yun, they are coming. Ling Yuner said, do you have any plans? Capture them. Qin Yun fiercely flew out and then released supergravity. All the rocks within a radius of several hundred meters were suddenly crushed into powder by the supergravity. Those few people were also crushed by the supergravity until their bodies cracked open. The gravity move Qin Yun released is called Heaven and Earth Unification. It was named by Ling Yuner. It is that there's gravity pressing down from above and gravity pressing down from below. It can clamp people and things in the middle. There's an invisible gravity pressing down from above and below. Just now, the surrounding rocks were crushed into powder in this way, and those few people were almost crushed flat. Qin Yun removed the heaven-locking chain from his neck and swung it forward, binding those few people. Then he quickly returned to the heaven-leaping shuttle and entered the warehouse. The space god and the nameless old man also arrived at the warehouse. As soon as they arrived, they heard the 5 people's heart-wrenching screams. Qin Yun used the suffering divine ability to torture and destroy them. After torturing them for a while, Qin Yun asked, what did you do to the elf emperor and the others? You. Who are you people? The young man from the 8 Tao clans shouted angrily. We are the divine kingdom of all heavens. He did not even finish speaking when Qin Yun released the suffering divine ability power and tortured him until his throat became hoarse. I ask, you answer. If you don't cooperate, I will torture you until you die. Qin Yun said with a smile. Those people all shuddered. The space god and the nameless old man glanced at each other. The fairy emperor and the others, they obtained the supreme treasure belonging to the Emperor Zun. We sent out 5 heavenly monarchs to force them into this seal. Once the Emperor Zun comes, we will take back the supreme treasure. The youth from the 8 Paths race said while trembling. What supreme treasure? The nameless old man asked. It's a box. We also don't know what it is. Emperor Zun said that it's his lost supreme treasure. The youth said again. Qin Yun is greatly alarmed in his heart. If it's a box, then it's most likely a bloodline heavenly rune box. Another bloodline heavenly rune box, and it was obtained by the elf emperor. Also, how did the heavenly sovereigns know that the elf emperor has a bloodline heavenly rune box? What kind of great formation is sealing the elf emperor? How can we open it? The space god asked. We can't open it. It's the heavenly god's sealing restriction. It's a formation personally refined by the heavenly sovereigns. The youth said. Qin Yun said with smile. Heavenly god's sealing restriction? Then it's easy to handle. At this time, he waved his hand and killed those 5 people. The space god said, Brother Yun, do you really have confidence in breaking the heavenly god's sealing restriction? This guy is not very strong now, so his heavenly god's sealing restriction must be very ordinary. Qin Yun is very confident. The heavenly god's sealing restrictions he broke back then were all extremely strong. Qin Yun immediately flew out of the heaven-leaping shuttle and arrived high in the sky. He opened his heavenly eye and looked down. Very soon, he saw at least 3,000 formation pillars covering a 10,000-meter wide circular area. Is this level of heavenly God sealing restriction really created by heavenly sovereigns? I don't believe it. Qin Yun believes that it is not as simple as the heavenly God sealing restriction because those 3,000 formation pillars are not created in a short period of time. Chapter 2441. Qin Yun could faintly feel that the Heaven Creation Divine Palace was secretly pushing something, especially the heavenly God sealing restriction that he saw now. It was a very tight and powerful one. Xiao Yun, can you break the heavenly God sealing restriction of the heavenly deity palace? Ling Yuner said worriedly, if you can't open it, it will take a long time. Once the sovereigns of the heavens arrive, it will be big trouble. I can break it, but I need time. I will do it as fast as possible. Qin Yun swooped down while paying attention to his surroundings. Inside the sky leaping shuttle, the space god and the nameless old man were also paying attention to what was happening outside. Once there is any commotion, they will also take action to protect Qin Yun. The space god previously gave Qin Yun a space teleportation pearl. If Qin Yun encountered any danger, he could immediately teleport him away through the pearl. The nameless old man was very worried, so he walked out of the heaven-leaping shuttle and stood outside. The spatial god also came out and looked into the distance. They can't see Qin Yun, but they know roughly where Qin Yun is because they have Qin Yun's soul-chasing talisman in their hands. Brother, is the Hall King situation good or bad? The nameless old man asked. In the divine court of the myriad realms, you often hang out with the big shots like the divine judge and the others. You should know something, right? The nameless old man also wanted to know what would happen to Qin Yun in the future. The space god didn't answer. He shook his head and said, you're in contact with Jiang Jiuquan. Did you learn anything from him? Jiang Jiuquan doesn't know what will happen to the Palace King in the future, but judging from his attitude, he seems to have high hopes for the Palace King. The nameless old man said, hard to say. The god of space heaved a long sigh. Brother, your situation is very complicated. There are too many secrets involved. The nameless old man continued. Jiang Jiuquan said that the heavenly rules and Taoist orthodoxy have deviated greatly. In other words, the prophecy of the heavenly rules orthodoxy will never come true. The god of space shook his head. That's what I'm worried about. The reason why it was difficult to fix was that the supreme sovereigns in the heavens were not strong enough. Moreover, there's a very powerful force behind the venerable sovereigns of the various heavens. They have enough strength to correct it. The nameless old man exclaimed, what force is it? Are they going to make a move? For now, they haven't made a move yet. The divine judge had said that if they were to take action, it would definitely cause a huge upheaval in the divine desolate. After that, the venerable sovereigns of the heavens will definitely pursue my younger brother with all their might. If he doesn't succeed, that powerful force will take action. The space god said. The nameless old man said, the venerable sovereigns of the heavens will definitely not succeed. If he couldn't kill the Palace King before, he won't be able to in the future because the Palace King will only get stronger and stronger. The space god nodded and said, brother, you are growing very fast. Maybe it won't be long before you catch up to the venerable sovereign's speed. The nameless old man was a lot more at ease and laughed. As long as Palace King cultivates 10 sacred heavenly Tao images and steps into the Tao God realm, he should be able to fight against Shun Tianjun. That venerable emperor of all heavens will definitely be under a lot of pressure. Don't forget that the supreme sovereigns also have 10 Taoist statues, and they're all orthodox Taoist statues. The Tao image of the heavenly sovereigns has been nurtured very well since birth, so there won't be any negative effects. His growth has been very smooth. The space god shook his head and said, brother, it will be very difficult to defeat him. The nameless old man said, I don't think so. It's because the supreme sovereigns of the heavens are too smooth. His Taoist statue might not even be as good as the Palace King's. The Palace King's growth has been very bumpy, especially in the early stages. The experience of being hunted down and tortured by the heavenly law divine realm for a few lifetimes allowed his mental state to become stronger, which allowed the Taoist statue he cultivated to be different. The space god thought for a moment, then nodded and said, "That makes sense. Brother's 10 Taoist statues should have been cultivated by yourself, not born with them. On this point, the supreme sovereigns of the heavens are inferior to you." Just as they were discussing, the nameless old man suddenly said in a deep voice, "There's a Lord of Heaven approaching. Can you handle it?" The space god looked in a direction. He was constantly releasing weak spatial fluctuations, blowing in all directions like the wind. As long as someone came into contact with the weak spatial fluctuations, he would be able to sense it, so he knew where that person was. "Only one?" the nameless old man asked. "There's only one person, and it's not the supreme sovereigns of the heavens." The space god said, "You just need to lure that guy away. If you can't beat him, I'll make my move." "All right." The nameless old man immediately flew over. When he rushed over, he released a primal chaos cold power. The strange cold enveloped the fiery red and scorching barren mountains below, instantly froze. The nameless old man is proficient in using primal chaos divine sun power. Moreover, he created the primal chaos cold power that can restrain primal chaos divine sun power. He is very proficient in these two types of divine power. Furthermore, he also has a primal chaos divine Sunday. Although it's very small, it can be used by him. Only Qin Yun and the space god knew that the nameless old man has a primal chaos divine Sunday. The nameless old man came from a Nine Sons heavenly race, and his father was once the clan emperor of the Nine Sons heavenly race. He knows many secrets. The Nine Sons heavenly race is definitely related to the Nine Sons. Furthermore, half of the Nine Heavens divine race's bloodline is related to the Nine Sons. As for what the connection is and what the secret is, perhaps only the nameless old man himself knows. "Oh!" the Lord of Heaven shouted in a deep voice. "I'm your grandfather's master," the nameless old man said with a mischievous smile. He is now also wearing a mask. "Courting death," the Lord of Heaven shouted angrily and punched the nameless old man. An extremely powerful divine demon power burst out. This is the Lord of Heaven from the Nine Heavens demon race. However, this middle-aged Lord of Heaven did not have silver hair. His entire body looked exactly the same as a human's. In front of the nameless old man, a ball of gray energy appeared and condensed into a gray ice wall. Lord of Heaven's fist smashed into the ice wall and pierced through it. The nameless old man controlled the ice wall to shrink and clamped onto Lord of Heaven's wrist. Then, he quickly pushed his palms forward, releasing balls of gray primal chaos cold energy that transformed into many gray chi blades that shot towards Lord of Heaven. "Who the hell are you?" The Lord of Heaven felt that the nameless old man was very strong and shouted angrily. Waves of blue and red divine power burst out from his body and formed shield. The gray ice-cold chi blades that the nameless old man shot out were all sent flying by the blue and red shield and flew in all directions. Some of them landed on the huge, desolate mountains on the ground. When the desolate mountain was hit, it turned into a gray ice mountain. Then it cracked and exploded, turning into many tiny gray dust that scattered. The nameless old man's gray chi blades were extremely terrifying. This is the power of the primal chaos divine sun. "You are from the primal chaos race?" Lord of Heaven shouted in shock. At this moment, he had also broken free from the thick ice wall. "The grandson of my dog has some ability. He can actually recognize the power of the primal chaos divine sun." The nameless old man laughed, then turned and ran. "You're dead for sure. Do you know who I am?" The Lord of Heaven chased after him. He had been insulted, and when he saw the nameless old man running, he thought that the nameless old man could not beat him. "Of course I know who you are. Aren't you the grandson of my dog?" The nameless old man chuckled as he ran. The Lord of Heaven exploded in anger and said angrily, I'm the sovereign King Ba Yao under the command of the heavenly sovereign Dizun. I have both the 9 heavens divine race and the 9 heavens demon race bloodline in my body. Do you know how strong I am? Sovereign King Ba Yao, the heavenly sovereign Dizun is my dog, and you are the grandson of the heavenly sovereign Dizun. You are indeed the grandson of my dog. The nameless old man laughed. It doesn't matter if you insult me, but if you insult the Dizun, it is equivalent to committing suicide. Sovereign King Ba Yao roared in anger. His voice shook the heaven and earth like thunder. Qin Yun is currently breaking the formation. He heard the conversation between the nameless old man and Sovereign King Ba Yao and felt somewhat anxious. The heavenly sovereign Dizun sent Sovereign King Ba Yao over. It must be to act as a sentry. This means that the heavenly sovereign Dizun will arrive very soon. The grinning, nameless old man had the same thoughts as Qin Yun. He believes that the heavenly sovereign Dizun will arrive very soon. So he is panicking to death in his heart. The space god is concentrating his energy to sense the situation around him. At the same time, he is preparing to protect Qin Yun. The nameless old man can completely deal with Sovereign King Ba Yao. The space god also doesn't need to worry about the nameless old man. He is worried that Qin Yun will suddenly be attacked by the heavenly sovereign Dizun. In order to increase his speed, Qin Yun used the spatial divine power pearl and transcending void step. He wandered among the many array pillars and changed the runes on them. There are more than 3,000 array pillars, and they are scattered all over the place. Every one of them has core runes on them. Those runes all have very strong recovery ability. This is also to prevent them from being destroyed by others. Fortunately, Qin Yun is a genius in this aspect. As long as he comes to the side of the array pillar and uses the floating cloud divine needle, he can quickly change the runes or carve them into the nether sun totem and devour the runes that have self-recovery ability. Some of the array pillars are guarded by Tao God Realm experts. They are all from the heavenly divine nations. They have no time to resist Qin Yun, who is quietly approaching them. Their heads were pierced by the heaven-locking chains and thrown into the heavenly lion-dragon suppressing cauldron. The pressure on Qin Yun is not small. If the heavenly sovereign Dizun arrives, and he does not break the formation, not only the elf emperor will be in danger. Even the space god and the nameless old man will fall into danger. The center of the heavenly god sealing forbidden land is a huge mountain. The elf emperor should be inside. How did the elf emperor obtain the bloodline heavenly rune? Or did he have it from the beginning? Qin Yun is very puzzled in his heart. He must find the elf emperor and ask him. This will help him find the other bloodline heavenly rune boxes. The nameless old man is now like walking a dog. He is running around with Ba Yao, Sovereign King. Since he has a spatial transmission magic tool, he can't be caught. Ba Yao, Sovereign King, is a very irritable person. He is also chasing after the nameless old man. He knows that the heavenly sovereign Dizun will arrive very soon. At that time, he will be able to capture the nameless old man. Qin Yun busied himself for more than half an hour. He is modifying the several hundred array pillars at the core. The entire heavenly god sealing forbidden land has loosened up. I need to use brute force to break it open faster. Qin Yun doesn't plan to modify the remaining 2,000 array pillars. It will take a lot of time. Elf Emperor, I am Qin Yun. Qin Yun concentrated his mental power and entered the heavenly god sealing forbidden land to contact the Elf Emperor. Brother Qin? Very good. The Elf Emperor very excitedly replied. Chapter 2442. The several hundred core pillars of the heavenly god seal restriction have already been modified by Qin Yun. The entire heavenly god seal restriction's power has been greatly weakened. After all, this is a very powerful heavenly god seal restriction. There are a total of 3,000 pillars, forming a very large body. Furthermore, it was created by the Heaven Creation Divine Palace. Qin Yun is unable to destroy it in a short period of time. Therefore, he can only loosen the heavenly god seal restriction and destroy its ability to absorb and disperse power before attacking. The Elf Emperor is not weak. He is definitely not the only one sealed inside. There should be other powerful purple sun elves. If you want to break through the heavenly God seal restriction with internal and external power, you will need a very strong power. Xiao Yun, is your current strength enough? How about I go out and help? Ling Yun'er said, there's no need for you to do anything. I can do it. Qin Yun released the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. After the blue square pagoda appeared, it became very huge. It is more than 100 meters tall. It is like a giant pillar that floated above the heavenly God seal restriction and aimed at the giant mountain below. Just the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda alone is definitely not enough to break through the heavenly God seal restriction. Qin Yun also flew to the top of the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. When he stood at the top of the pagoda, he suddenly sensed that many people have appeared in all directions. They are all people patrolling nearby. Sovereign King Bai Yao, who is chasing the nameless old man, also noticed the giant pagoda. He does not know that it is the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, but he can tell that someone is trying to attack the heavenly God seal restriction. Sovereign King Bai Yao is very confident in the heavenly God seal restriction. He believes that no one can break it, so he is not worried at all. He continued to chase after the smiling, nameless old man. The hidden spatial god also took action at this moment, shooting out white energy balls. When the balls of air smashed into the bodies of the Tao gods, they created a spatial ripple that caused the Tao gods to fly far away through space. The divine nations recruited many Tao gods and sacred gods, and they all flew towards Qin Yun. Although there are many Tao gods and sacred gods, they are all scattered. Fortunately, with the help of the spatial god, Qin Yun does not need to worry for the time being. Standing on top of the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, Qin Yun took out the divine king heavenly seal and used it to draw the divine power of the 3 divine suns. The divine king heavenly seal had been branded with an imprint and refined by the 3 9-yang divine maidens. It had been tempered in the divine sun's core and could more or less activate the power of the divine sun. In the future, if Qin Yun could find a way to restrain the descendants of the divine sun, the divine sun power he could summon would be even stronger. Very quickly, 3 streams of myriad worlds' divine sun's power suddenly rushed down from the sky and entered the 9-sun sky-raising pagoda. The 9 suns sky-raising pagoda originated from the 9 suns. It could absorb boundless energy and store it in the pagoda before releasing it. At this moment, the 9 suns sky-raising pagoda was crazily absorbing the divine energy of the 3 suns. Qin Yun discovered that the 3 myriad worlds' divine suns are releasing a lot of divine power. The 9 suns heaven-raising pagoda's absorption speed is already very fast, but some of the 3 divine suns' divine power still overflowed. He hurriedly took out the sun-suppressing divine arrow. The sun-suppressing divine arrow was held tightly in Qin Yun's hand as he activated the 10,000 devour ability to devour the overflowing divine yang divine power. Then he shot out the sun-suppressing divine arrow to attack the nearby Tao gods and sacred gods. 1 arrow could kill 1. The spatial god saw 3 intense beams of light descending from the sky in the distance. He was also surprised. He could tell that Qin Yun was drawing the divine sun's divine power down. The myriad worlds' divine palace could do it, but they needed to go through the myriad worlds' divine palace's great array. As for Qin Yun, he could do it alone. The nameless old man, who was being chased by Sovereign King Bai Yao, also saw Qin Yun draw the power of 3 myriad worlds' divine suns, but he was not surprised at all. Qin Yun has the divine king heavenly seal in his hand. Furthermore, he has a very special relationship with the myriad worlds' divine suns. His relationship with the 9 suns divine maiden is extremely good, so it is very normal for him to be able to do this. When Sovereign King Bai Yao saw this, his expression changed. He roared, "What is this guy doing? Why can he draw the divine power of 3 divine suns?" He suddenly realized that the heavenly God sealing restriction might be broken. He did not chase after the nameless old man and immediately flew towards Qin Yun. The nameless old man did not let Sovereign King Ba Yao go over. He immediately used primal chaos frost power to attack Sovereign King Ba Yao. Sovereign King Ba Yao was attacked by the nameless old man and had no choice but to defend and slow down. The nameless old man immediately rushed over and appeared in front of Sovereign King Ba Yao. With a grin, he scolded Sovereign King Ba Yao and the heavenly sovereigns, completely infuriating Sovereign King Ba Yao. Sovereign King Ba Yao seems to have exploded with anger. He brandished his weapon and began fighting with the nameless old man. No matter who you are, you will all die today. The sovereigns will arrive very soon. So what if you break the heavenly God sealing restriction? You won't be able to escape. Sovereign King Ba Yao shouted angrily. He is very confident in the strength of the heavenly sovereigns. Sovereign King Ba Yao and the nameless old man are locked in a fierce battle. The commotion is also very big. Many fiery red mountains in the vicinity have been smashed to pieces. The sky turned dark, lightning flashed, and thunder rolled. Even the patrolling Tao gods and sacred gods have no choice but to hide far away, afraid that they will be accidentally injured by Sovereign King Ba Yao. Elf Emperor, get ready. Qin Yun secretly transmitted his voice to the Elf Emperor. I can start at any time. The Elf Emperor said, Brother Qin, you must be careful outside. Those guys are very treacherous. The Elf Emperor was sealed. It is very likely that he was trapped here because of a trap or because he listened to someone else. The Blue Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda's exterior is surrounded by intense golden light. It has absorbed a lot of divine sun divine power. Attack! Qin Yun controlled the Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda and attacked the invisible barrier below. The enormous Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda ferociously attacked down, causing a burst of golden energy wave. The ground around the heavenly God sealing restriction crazily cracked. This place was originally caught in the middle of Shun Tianyuan's battle, and now the fluctuation that erupted became even more intense. Boom! A loud explosion shook the sky. The more than 2,000 formation pillars hidden in the surroundings exploded one after another. The heavenly God sealing restriction was blasted open in an instant. Beams of intense purple light shot out from the huge mountain, and the entire mountain was destroyed in an instant. The Elf Emperor came out. There are a total of more than 100 purple sun elves. After the Elf Emperor and a few Shan Tianjun purple sun elves came out, their aura became extremely valiant, bringing with them a scorching purple gale. They were sealed by someone, and they are extremely furious. They also know who did it. Damn it! Ba Yao Sovereign King cursed in anger. The purple hair fluttering in the wind. The Elf Emperor's expression is grave and stern. His slender eyes are filled with anger. He held a sharp long sword and rushed towards Ba Yao Sovereign King. I can kill people now. I want to kill you. The Elf Emperor arrived beside Ba Yao Sovereign King in an instant and hacked out thousands of sword images, forming a dense and numerous sword images that enveloped Ba Yao Sovereign King. Ba Yao Sovereign King is also not weak. The blue defensive armor on his body is very strong. Many sword marks appeared on it, but it did not shatter. Let's leave quickly, Space God shouted. His voice is very anxious. It is clear that he sensed something. All heavenly sovereigns are coming. Impudent. The voice of all heavenly sovereigns came from the distance. That kind of imposing aura is like 100-meter-tall giant wave surging over, shaking people's hearts. Sovereigns are coming. Ba Yao Sovereign King is wild with joy. He shouted loudly. Space God controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to fly over. He quickly moved a large number of purple sun fairies into the heaven-leaping shuttle. Qin Yun. All heavenly sovereigns shouted in alarm. He can sense Qin Yun's aura, because he is very familiar with Qin Yun's Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda. Qin Yun took back the Nine Sun Heaven Raising Pagoda. My dog, why are you shouting, Palace King? The nameless old man said with a mischievous smile. This immediately caused Ba Yao Sovereign King and many heavenly divine nations people to shout in anger. All heavenly sovereigns, you are truly pitifully weak. Look at your subordinates. They're all a bunch of idiots. You and this group of trash are clamoring to dominate all heavenly divine desolate. What a joke, Qin Yun said with sneer. The nameless old man and Qin Yun returned to the heaven-leaping shuttle. All heavenly sovereigns did not come. They're still far away. Only their voice and a wisp of mind have arrived. You won't be able to escape this time, all heavenly sovereigns said angrily. Space God hastily urged the heaven-leaping shuttle to travel through space. In the blink of an eye, they are far away from this place. Qin Yun came this time only to save the Elf Emperor and the others. With their current strength, they're still not enough to fight against the heavenly sovereigns. If they don't leave, once the heavenly sovereigns arrive, it will be difficult for them to leave. If they fight against the heavenly sovereigns, they will definitely not be able to gain any advantage. So, it is better to leave early. Elf Emperor, how did you get sealed by them? You were too careless. Qin Yun is in the main control room of the heaven-leaping shuttle. Seeing that everyone is fine, he is completely relieved. This time, they were able to successfully rescue the Elf Emperor. The nameless old man and the space god have put in a lot of effort. The Elf Emperor and the others repeatedly thanked the nameless old man and the space god. The matter of us being sealed, it is a long story. The Elf Emperor's face is filled with anger. He said, "We were betrayed. That's why we walked into the trap." Betrayed? Qin Yun asked doubtfully. Who betrayed you? White Sun Elf race. They tricked us into going to that place. Then we were sealed. The Elf Emperor snorted. The human heart is truly sinister. I didn't expect that even the elf race would do such a thing. The White Sun Elf race is definitely from the White Sun Divine Realm. The White Sun Divine Realm has 3 divine kings, and one of them is from the White Sun Elf race. This means that the White Sun Elf race has already joined forces with the heavenly divine nations. White Sun Elf. The White Sun Elf Emperor is a divine king of the White Sun Divine Realm. Furthermore, he is not on good terms with the White Sun Divine King. The space god said, "This White Sun Elf Emperor came to the Myriad Realms Divine Court before. He asked if we have the Elf God's divine position. He wants to be the Elf God. Don't give it to this bastard, he's too despicable," the Elf Emperor said angrily. The whereabouts of the Elf God's divine position are still unknown. It must have been obtained. It's just that this god has yet to report to the Myriad Realms Divine Court. The space god said, "That's good. If the Elf God goes to the Myriad Realms Divine Court, remember to contact me. I want to meet this Elf God," the Elf Emperor said. Qin Yun asked, "Elf Emperor, did the Empyrean sovereign seal you in order to snatch your treasures?" Chapter 2443. Qin Yun planned to find a suitable time to discuss the matter of the bloodline heavenly rune with the Elf Emperor. Originally, Qin Yun wanted to invite the Elf Emperor to the Nine-Yang Divine Palace to discuss the matter of cooperation. The Elf Emperor also agreed to go. However, he suddenly felt restless. "Brother Qin, I must immediately return to Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain. I haven't returned for many days. During the time I'm not in the clan, someone will definitely attack Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain." The Elf Emperor is very worried. Qin Yun nodded at the space god and said, "Brother, immediately head to Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain." If Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain was truly besieged, then after they arrived, they would be able to help repel the enemy. The space god also knew where Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain is. He immediately controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle to travel through space and head towards Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain. Elf Emperor, did you not return to Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain after returning from Purple Sun Heavenly Island? Qin Yun asked. "We were going back, but on the way, we met those bastards from the White Sun Elf race." When the Elf Emperor mentioned this matter, he became extremely angry and said, "I never expected them to actually join the divine nations. Because they were both elves, Purple Sun Elves and White Sun Elves should be considered the same kind. The Purple Sun Elf Emperor naturally felt that the White Sun Elf Emperor was very close to him, so he trusted him very much. However, he did not expect to be deceived. "You must be careful next time," the space god said. "In the divine desolate, there are many powers that stand on the side of the divine nations. As long as it's on the side of the divine nations, it's not reliable." I really didn't expect it. The Elf Emperor blamed himself and said, "Maybe the White Sun Elves are attacking Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain right now." Qin Yun asked, "Does Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain have a defensive formation?" The Elf Emperor nodded and said, "Yes. But if they continue attacking for many days, our mountain protection formation will definitely not be able to withstand it. If the White Sun Elves attack, the mountain protection formation can defend for a period of time. We can still make it if we go now." Qin Yun warned, "Elf Emperor, when you go there, you must calm down, lest you fall into another trap." What Qin Yun meant was for the Elf Emperor to prepare for the worst. If the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain was captured, what awaited the Elf Emperor and the others there would most likely be a trap. The space god said, "It is very likely that the Divine Emperors will also go to Purple Sun Mountain. I'll immediately contact the Divine Judge and have him bring people to Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain as reinforcements." The Elf Emperor was rescued by Qin Yun from the heavenly god, sealing Forbidden Land, and the Supremacy Heavenly Sovereigns have bloodline heavenly runes. They will definitely not let this matter rest. If all Heaven's Venerables really want to go to Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain, then just the power of the myriad realms divine court won't be enough. Qin Yun said, "I will return to Nanyang Temple to call for help." The Purple Sun Fairies are a powerful race. If they encounter danger, especially when they are besieged by the divine kingdoms, Qin Yun and company will have to take action. In the deity desolate, there weren't many tribes that dared to go against the deity kingdom. They needed to unite. "All right, let's split up. Give me the Heaven Leaping Shuttle for now. Use the teleportation pearl to return to the Nanyang Divine Palace. After you call for people, I'll go over to pick you up." The god of space said, "Brother, the number of people doesn't need to be too many, as long as they're strong enough." The god of space had previously given Qin Yun a teleportation pearl. It was located outside the heavenly sword array. Qin Yun used the teleportation pearl and immediately teleported back to the Nanyang Divine Palace. The Elf Emperor was very touched. He and the other middle-aged Purple Sun Elves hurriedly thanked Qin Yun and the god of space. "I will return to Sword Forest Desert. You guys go to Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. You must pay more attention," Qin Yun warned, then left the Heaven Leaping Shuttle. After he left, he used the teleportation pearl and was instantly teleported outside of the Heavenly Sword Formation. Qin Yun entered the array and flew towards the Divine Moon Clan. At the same time, he used the Divine King Heavenly Seal to sense the Wind God's deity position and called out, "Luo Yaofeng has the Wind God deity position. She will soon receive Qin Yun's call." "Brother Yin, what's the matter?" Luo Yaofeng's sweet voice sounded. "Are Su Xin and Big Sister Shang Yun at the Divine Moon Clan?" Qin Yun asked. "I have an urgent matter to discuss with them. I just saved the Purple Sun Elf Emperor. The Empyreans of the Heavens want to capture the Purple Sun Elf Emperor. It's possible that the Divine Kingdom's army will be heading for the Divine Universe's Purple Sun Mountain soon." When Luo Yaofeng heard that, he said anxiously, "Brother Yun, I'll go too. I'm not weak." "All right, you and Su Xin will come. Sister Shang Yun will stay here," Qin Yun said. "At that time, it's very likely that we will have to face the White Sun Elf clan." Bai Su Xin came from the White Sun Divine Realm, and her father was the White Sun Divine King. During this period of time, she might have already met her father. She must have some understanding of the White Sun Elves. "I'll go find Su Xin right now," Luo Yaofeng said. Bai Su Xin's strength is not weak. She cultivates White Sun and has been in the blue sky for a very long time. She also obtained a very mysterious heavenly law heart spirit inheritance and cultivated in the divine moon of the heavens. Because the matter is very urgent, Luo Yaofeng moved very quickly. She immediately found Bai Suxin and went to meet up with Qin Yun. Yu Shangyun is also wearing black armor and rushed over with Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin. I'll go too, Yu Shangyun said, because she was about to face the Empyreans of the heavens, and she hated them very much. No, you have to stay here, Qin Yun said. The Guanghan Palace, the Divine Moon Clan, and my Nanyang Divine Palace all need you to guard them. Sister Shangyun, elder sister Luo, and I will go. You stay here and wait for us to come back, Bai Suxin said. She floated in the air, her white ponytail fluttering in the wind. She's also wearing white armor, looking valiant and formidable looking. She has the aura of a queen. Then you must come back. The reason why Yu Shangyun did not stay in the Divine Moon of the Heavens is because she can't let go of the Divine Moon Clan and the Guanghan Palace. That's why she followed them to the Heavenly Sword Formation. Don't worry, we will protect Brother Yun, Luo Yaofeng said with a smile. Yu Shangyun only gave Qin Yun a glance, then turned around and flew away. She did not say anything else. Qin Yun brought Bai Suxin and Luo Yaofeng and flew out of the Heavenly Sword Formation. Then he contacted the space god. Brother, we have already arrived at the Divine Universe, Purple Sun Mountain. We have indeed been attacked by the White Sun Elves. A large number of Purple Sun Elves have been injured. I'll go pick you up immediately, the space god said. All right, Qin Yun replied. Qin Yun briefly explained the situation so that Bai Suxin and Luo Yaofeng could understand the situation. Because there are also people from a myriad realms divine court, Qin Yun only needed to call Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin. With their strength, they would be able to suppress Shun Tianjun. The White Sun Elves have always been bad. The Purple Sun Elves are still too naive. Bai Suxin sighed and said, I've seen my father before. He has been in the White Sun Divine Realm for many years and has been tricked by the White Sun Elves many times. Did your father join the Divine Kingdom? Qin Yun asked. Since your father is the White Sun Divine King, he should have his own power, right? Bai Suxin shook her head. He has long since retired and came to the Divine desolate with my mother. After meeting me, he traveled around and did not participate in the battles. However, he has many friends who have gone through life and death situations. Now, many of them have entered the White Sun Heavenly City. That's good. Qin Yun is finally relieved. He was previously worried that he would have a conflict with the White Sun Divine King. The spatial god quickly arrived and brought Qin Yun and company into the heaven-leaping shuttle. They immediately headed for the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. Brother, is the situation at the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain serious? Bai Suxin asked. The injuries are quite serious, but there are no deaths. The spatial god let out a long sigh. The Empyreans have not arrived yet, but they will definitely go to the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. Has the Myriad Realms Divine Court arrived? Qin Yun asked. Is the Myriad Realms Divine Court strong enough to fight against the Empyreans? The spatial god shook his head. I don't know. The Divine Judge is indeed much stronger. Let's see if he can negotiate with the Empyreans. If he can't negotiate, then he can only fight. Then it's best if I don't appear. I don't want to agitate the Empyreans. Right now, the most important thing is to avoid war. Qin Yun said, if the Empyreans go all out, he can bear the losses, but we can't. That's right. The spatial god has already activated the heaven-leaping shuttle and rushed to the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. How many White Sun Elves are there? Will the White Sun Elf Emperor personally fight? Luo Yaofeng asked. Yes. After the Purple Sun Elf Emperor returned, he immediately started fighting with the White Sun Elf Emperor. They should still be fighting, the spatial god said. The Purple Sun Elf Emperor was tricked into entering the heavenly god sealing Forbidden Land by the White Sun Elf Emperor. He was filled with anger, and the White Sun Elf Emperor took this opportunity to attack the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. When the Purple Sun Elf Emperor saw his enemy, he naturally had a fight with his life on the line. Not long after, the spatial god controlled the heaven-leaping shuttle and arrived near the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. divine universe purple sun mountain was extremely huge, and it looked like a giant island shrouded in purple energy. And in the distant sky, a ball of purple light and a ball of white light were fiercely colliding, causing the world to tremble unceasingly. Even space was shaken to the point of rippling, and there were even signs of cracking. It was the purple sun elf emperor and the white sun elf emperor fighting intensely. And outside, there were also many battles of various sizes. "Let's go in and talk," Qin Yun said. The purple sun elf race could handle the current battle. The Divine Kingdom's army that was about to arrive was the most difficult to deal with. If the Empyreans personally came, they would definitely bring many powerful Divine Lord subordinates. Divine King Jiang Xian and the Heavenly Demon Divine King would definitely come as well. The spatial god had the token given to him by the Purple Sun Elf Emperor. He could pass through the powerful barrier of the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. Qin Yun and company came out of the heaven-leaping shuttle and landed outside a huge cave. The nameless old man hurriedly flew over and said in a low voice, "We're in big trouble. The injuries of those purple sun elves are very serious. It looks like they've been cursed." "Curse? 9 heaven law incantation?" Luo Yaofeng asked. Chapter 2444. The nameless old man hurriedly led Qin Yun and company into the cave and arrived at a very spacious hall. On the floor of the hall, there were many purple sun elves groaning in pain. They had some injuries on their bodies, but those injuries were not very serious. They should not be in so much pain. However, they were constantly shouting in a low voice. Their faces were filled with pain, and some of them were even rolling on the ground. There were hundreds of purple sun elves here, and their situation was exactly the same. Some of the purple sun elves did not have any injuries on their bodies, but they were still crying out in pain. Bai Suxin came to the side of a female elf and squatted down. She tapped her finger on the female elf's forehead as if she was probing something. "It really is the white devil divine curse." Bai Suxin frowned and shook her head. "This is troublesome. The white devil divine curse can make a person's body and soul feel like they're being burned. It's as if a devil is doing evil in their body, and they can hear all kinds of unpleasant cries. Doesn't that mean that this white devil divine curse is very destructive to a person's mind?" Luo Yaofeng said in a low voice. "It's too vicious. Is there any way to suppress it?" It was very difficult to get rid of such a vicious curse. Qin Yun's father, Qin Long, was hit by the 9 heavens law curse. He needed to kill the person who cast the curse. Bai Suxin shook her head. "It will take a very long time to completely undo it, and most people won't be able to last that long. They will choose to commit suicide." The god of space said, "Can you make them sleep? It's very difficult." The most powerful thing about the white devil divine curse is that it can make people fall into an incomparably painful dream while they are unconscious. The torture their soul will suffer will be even more painful. Bai Suxin sighed and said, "Unless the person who cast the curse is killed, it's the curse of the white sun elf emperor." An old man from the purple sun elf race walked over and said angrily, "That devil, the white sun elf emperor, spilled a large amount of black blood. When the blood dripped onto him, he was struck by this curse." It was also at this moment that a weak purple-haired girl walked over with a pale face. The purple-haired girl's face was slightly round and her eyes were big. They emitted a faint purple light. It was a very cute face. Qin Yun immediately recognized the girl. She was Princess Feng Feng. From the looks of it, she was also heavily injured. "Princess, why did you run out?" An old man hurried over and said with a pained heart, "You have to rest well. It's all my fault for being useless, causing my clansmen to end up like this." Princess Phoenix's eyes turned slightly red when she saw so many purple sun elves in pain. She also saw Bai Suxin, the nameless old man, and the others. When she came, she learned that her father, the Elven Emperor, had returned, and he had brought some powerful friends with him. "I'm not a white sun elf. I am from the white sun divine realm. When Bai Suxin saw Princess Feng Feng looking at her, she chuckled and said, "In the White Sun Divine Realm, the White Sun Elves are also my enemies. Sister, do you have any way to help my people break the White Devil curse?" Princess Feng Feng said sadly. Her heart ached as she looked at the girl lying on the ground. It was obvious that she was her little friend. Bai Suxin shook her head with a pained expression. She sighed and said, "There's nothing I can do, but I have a way to reduce their pain, and that is to freeze them. But this is not a long-term solution. If the White Devil curse is not broken, their souls will be devoured sooner or later. I seal, leave it to me," the nameless old man said. His primal chaos cold power is quite powerful. The White Devil curse is fire attribute. The main pain is caused by the burning. Bai Suxin nodded and said, "Old mister, I'll leave it to you." The nameless old man quickly used his primal chaos cold power to turn a youth into white ice. "Let's temporarily seal him in ice first. We'll think of a way to break it." Qin Yun said, "If we can't break the White Devil curse, then we can only kill the White Sun Elf Emperor." Princess Feng Feng looked at Qin Yun with a trace of vigilance and doubt in her eyes, because she felt that Qin Yun's voice was very familiar. Bai Suxin came to Princess Feng Feng's side and gently held her hand. She said softly, "Little sister, I'll help you heal and help you recover faster. Relax, don't resist my divine power." Her White Sun divine power indeed has a very strong recovery ability. Qin Yun's Nether Sun had fused with her White Sun before, so he obtained a kind of duplication ability. He looked at the people who were hit by the White Devil curse and thought about how to undo it. The White Sun Elf race was definitely a powerful race. If he were to face them in the future and be hit by the White Devil curse, he would definitely suffer a fate worse than death. And it was very difficult to kill the White Sun Elf Emperor. Therefore, Qin Yun had to overcome this difficult problem. In case he was hit by the White Devil curse in the future, he could immediately undo it. He came to the side of a robust young man. The young man was lying on the ground and screaming in pain. Qin Yun pressed his hand on the young man's body and secretly injected a very strong mental power to investigate the curse power of the White Devil curse. Very quickly, he discovered that the curse power of the White Devil curse had filled the young man's entire body. The most terrifying thing is that the young man's blood has turned white. When the White Sun Elf Emperor cast the curse, he sprinkled a large amount of black blood. After being dripped, the blood of the Purple Sun Elves actually turned white. The blood of the Purple Sun Elves should be purple, right? Qin Yun asked. "My blood is purple." Princess Feng Feng replied in a low voice. She still felt that Qin Yun's voice was very familiar, but she couldn't remember whose voice it was. Even now, Princess Feng Feng still believes that the Nine Sun Palace King is a scoundrel who killed their clansmen in the Purple Sun Heavenly Island. After being hit by the White Devil curse, the blood in one's body will be dyed white. That white blood will turn into energy to maintain the White Devil curse's operation. The white blood will bring about a stabbing pain. Bai Suxin said. Qin Yun secretly used the Nether Sun's devouring power to devour the white blood, but to no avail. Even if the white curse blood was drained, the blood that would be regenerated from the Purple Sun Elf bodies would still be white because the curse power had already invaded their entire bodies, including their souls. Qin Yun used the Nether Sun Divine Flame to dissolve the curse power, but it failed as well. Since it's a curse, there must be a curse rune. Space God said, "Brother, try this." Qin Yun has been searching for the curse runes hidden in the Purple Sun Elf bodies, but he couldn't find them. He couldn't find any trace of them. "I can't find the curse runes." Qin Yun shook his head. "If we kill the White Sun Fairy Emperor, this curse can be undone. This means that the key lies with the White Sun Fairy Emperor." Luo Yaofeng said, "The 9 Heaven Law incantation is also based on the same principle. In other words, the curse power in the Purple Sun Elves' bodies has some kind of connection with the person who cast the curse. As long as the connection is severed, the curse power won't flare up." Qin Yun stroked his chin and pondered. He muttered, "What kind of method is used to establish the connection? Spatial connection?" It's some kind of strange ripples that can easily penetrate space and penetrate anything. This is equivalent to a pair of strange beads. No matter how far apart these two beads are, as long as one changes color, the other will also change. Space God said, this kind of connection is very difficult to sever. In that case, this is the same principle as the soul-chasing talisman. Even if it's far away, the soul will produce strange ripples that can be sensed by the soul-chasing talisman. Qin Yun suddenly thought of something, but he couldn't grasp the main point. This white devil curse is much stronger than the soul-chasing talisman and the soul ripples. Not only can they sense each other, they can also transfer energy to each other. Space God said, "Brother, use a very strong spatial power and try isolating it." Qin Yun said. The space god immediately released a very strong spatial barrier, enveloping the youth who was hit by the white devil curse and isolating him. As for the youth inside, the pain did not lessen. It was still the same as before. It's useless. This kind of ripple penetration is just like the divine universe golden stone. It can penetrate multiple spaces. Space God said, Qin Yun has the divine universe heavenly dragon's eggshell in his hand. That was something that could seal the divine universe golden stone. If it's the same as the divine universe golden stone, then I have a way. Qin Yun immediately took out a sun dragon altar and turned it into the size of a house. He placed it in an empty space in the hall. Princess Feng Feng and a few elders of the Purple Sun Elf race watched quietly from the side. They knew that Qin Yun and company were thinking of a way to help them and hoped that Qin Yun would succeed. Carry one person in, Qin Yun said to a Purple Sun Elf before walking towards the altar that had shrunk. Inside the altar, there was the ability to isolate the fluctuations of the divine universe golden stone. Qin Yun often placed a large amount of divine universe golden stone into the altar. A middle-aged elf carried a young girl, his daughter, and followed Qin Yun into the altar. Just as they entered, the young girl stopped shouting and immediately closed her eyes to fall asleep. This made Princess Feng Feng and company cheer happily. It's effective. Bai Suxin is also very surprised. Of course, she knew that it was Qin Yun's 9 dragons' heavenly origin formation. However, she never expected that it would require this kind of ability. This is only a temporary isolation. I still don't know how to completely remove the curse. Qin Yun said, "It's better than being frozen." The nameless old man said with a smile. He immediately unsealed a few Purple Sun elves who had just been frozen. It was also at this moment that the battle outside suddenly stopped. The Purple Sun Elf Emperor returned. The Divine Judge followed behind the Purple Sun Elf Emperor and company and arrived at the hall. How is it? After the Purple Sun Elf Emperor came in, he saw many Purple Sun elves lying on the ground. He felt both anger and heartache. Xia Wufeng came along with the Divine Judge. Qin Yun and Xia Wufeng looked at each other and nodded slightly as a form of greeting. White Devil Divine Curse. The Divine Judge looked at it for a moment and coldly scolded in a low voice. It was done by the White Sun Elf Emperor. This bastard, he used such a vicious method to enslave a new race. The Purple Sun Elf Emperor's expression suddenly changed. He clearly knew the power of the White Devil Divine Curse. After his expression turned cold, he suddenly let out a furious roar. Then, he turned around and walked out. He wanted to continue fighting the White Sun Elf Emperor with his life. Daddy, this big brother has a way to alleviate it. He just needs to enter that small stone pagoda. Princess Feng Feng hurriedly pulled her father back and said, "You just came back. You need to rest more?" Chapter 2445. Feng Feng, he is Qin Yun, the Palace King of the Nine-Yang Divine Palace. Purple Sun Fairy Emperor stroked Princess Feng Feng's head and said, he. Princess Feng Feng looked at Qin Yun and was momentarily stunned. Her round and adorable face was first astonished, then filled with anger. She shouted, "Daddy, he's a scoundrel. He was the one who killed Brother Dogwang and the rest. Dogwang is still alive. His soul was saved by Brother Qin. The Violet Sun Elf Emperor sighed, and then he recounted what had happened on the Violet Sun Celestial Island. When the Purple Sun Elves present learned that God Monarch Jiang Xian and Heaven Fei Divine King had joined forces to kill so many of their people, they were filled with grief and indignation. After Princess Feng Feng heard this, her face is filled with shame. She walked in front of Qin Yun and very sincerely apologized. She said, "Big brother, I'm sorry, I misunderstood you. I even brought people to attack you. Please forgive me. It's nothing, just a misunderstanding," Qin Yun said with a smile. Princess Feng Feng had long heard that Qin Yun dared to resist the divine kingdom of the heavens, but because she had been deceived by godly monarch Jiang Xian and company, she had always believed that Qin Yun was the one who killed Maid Dagwang and company. Now that she had finally met Qin Yun and had helped them, the Purple Sun Elves, greatly, she was not only grateful to Qin Yun. Especially after the misunderstanding was resolved, Princess Feng Feng admired this big brother even more. "I'll go out now and kill that bastard," Purple Sun Elf Emperor said coldly. "During the battle just now, he was the one who told me about the white demonic divine incantation. That's why I ended the battle and came back immediately. The venerable sovereigns will be here soon," the divine judge said. "Once this guy arrives, the trouble will be even bigger." The Empyreans had come to snatch the bloodline heavenly patterns. Regarding this matter, Purple Sun Elf Emperor could not say it out loud, because this matter was of great importance. He could not reveal it, so he still blamed himself. "Divine Adjudicator, how confident are you in stopping the Empyrean supremacies from attacking?" asked Qin Yun. "The venerable sovereigns would definitely attack Divine Universe Violet Sun Mountain with all their might for the sake of bloodline heavenly patterns. At that time, they definitely wouldn't be able to stop them. The overall strength of the divine nations was very strong. There were many divine kings behind them, and there were also quite a number of Xintian monarchs. There were also all sorts of powerful, mysterious techniques. Once Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain's defenses were breached, a large number of Purple Sun Elves would definitely die, and the Space God would not be able to transfer so many Purple Sun Elves in a short period of time. I don't have much confidence. I can only do my best to delay them and let the Space God help you retreat," the Divine Chief Judge said. Qin Yun thought for a moment and said, "Quickly send the Purple Sun Elves that have been afflicted with the White Devil Divine curse into the altar. There were quite a number of Purple Sun Elves, so it would not be easy to retreat in a short period of time. I'll listen to your arrangements." The Purple Sun Elf Emperor could only give up on Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. "Elf Emperor, I have something to discuss with you in secret," Qin Yun said. "All right, follow me." Purple Sun Elf Emperor nodded before leading Qin Yun out of the spacious hall and into a quiet room. After Qin Yun entered, he used his inscription battle technique and quickly carved many runes, forming a barrier to prevent his voice from being transmitted or someone eavesdropping. "Brother Qin, is it something very important?" Purple Sun Fairy Emperor's expression turned solemn when he saw how cautious Qin Yun was. "As far as I know, the Divine Kingdom of the Heavens wants to snatch a box from you," Qin Yun said. When the Purple Sun Elf Emperor heard this, his entire body trembled. He nodded and said, "That's right. Brother Qin, you've helped us many times. I shouldn't have hidden this matter from you, but that box is related to the life and death of our entire race, so I never told you the truth. It's the Bloodline Heavenly Rune," Qin Yun said. He is also puzzled as to why the Bloodline Heavenly Rune is so important to the Purple Sun Elf race. "You, Brother Qin, you actually know?" Purple Sun Elf Emperor is even more astonished. "I have one too," Qin Yun said with a smile. "This is indeed very important. I can understand, even if you don't tell me." Purple Sun Elf Emperor took out his Bloodline Heavenly Rune box. The box emitted a purple light, and on the outside, there are many purple runes swimming about. "How did the sovereigns of the heavens know?" Qin Yun asked. "When I met the White Sun Elf Emperor before, he said that their White Sun Elf race also had Bloodline Heavenly Rune. Then he asked me if I had one, so I told him the truth." Purple Sun Elf Emperor very angrily snorted. It was this guy who told the sovereigns of the heavens. Qin Yun is alarmed. He suspects that the White Sun Elf race might really have bloodline heavenly rune, and it might very well fall into the hands of the sovereigns of the heavens. Brother Purple, where did your bloodline heavenly rune come from? Qin Yun asked. It's this bloodline heavenly rune that gives us life. If the bloodline heavenly rune falls into the hands of the sovereigns of the heavens, they will be able to control the lifeline of our entire race. Purple Sun Elf Emperor looked at the box in his hand and said, I only know that this is a bloodline heavenly rune. As for whether it has any other uses, I don't know. Qin Yun said, there are a total of 9 of these boxes. It's related to the rebirth of the 9 heavens, and the Heaven Creation Divine Palace is also searching everywhere. I don't know any of this. I only know that I have to keep this box safe. Purple Sun Elf Emperor sighed and said, it's all my fault. I trusted others too easily. The reason why the sovereigns of the heavens came this time is for this box. If they can't get the box, they will definitely attack crazily. Just as Qin Yun finished speaking, his surroundings suddenly shook. They're here. Purple Sun Elf Emperor cursed in a low voice. Those bastards, they're finally here. Even inside the divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain, they can still feel the terrifying pressure from outside. The divine judge shouldn't be able to come to an agreement. Qin Yun said, Brother Purple, if you trust me, hand the box over to me. I'll go out and distract the sovereigns of the heavens and buy time for you to retreat. Purple Sun Elf Emperor looked at the purple box in his hand and then handed it to Qin Yun. He said with a sincere expression, Brother Qin, I trust you. The box is definitely safer in your hands than in mine. I'll temporarily hand it over to you for safekeeping. Brother Purple, your roots also originate from the divine universe Purple Sun. I have a divine universe Purple Sunday. When the divine universe Purple Sun produces a sun seed, I will give it to you and let you create your own home. Qin Yun said, Brother Qin, you really have a divine universe Purple Sun? Purple Sun Elf Emperor is extremely shocked. My divine universe Purple Sun is still very young. Qin Yun said with a smile. That's great. Purple Sun Elf Emperor is very happy at this moment. Let's not talk anymore. I'll go out and distract the sovereigns of the heavens. Qin Yun said, Brother Qin, you must be careful. Purple Sun Elf Emperor patted Qin Yun's shoulder and said, From today onwards, you, Qin Yun, are my brother. Qin Yun nodded and said, I'll go out and put away the altar. The Purple Sun Elf is very safe inside. Nothing will happen. He also wanted to keep that altar by his side, because it was one of the 9 dragon heavenly origin formation. Qin Yun and Zao hurriedly walked out. The commotion outside was getting louder and louder. Qin Yun estimated that there were at least 10 heavenly lords attacking. In addition, there were also other huge ships attacking. Divine Judge, are you all right? The moment Qin Yun came out, he saw that the Divine Judge's expression was ugly. Blood was flowing from the corner of his mouth, and his hair was disheveled. That bastard, he actually hit me with a palm. The Divine Judge snorted angrily. His expression suddenly eased up as he said to Qin Yun, I'm not seriously injured, don't worry. Qin Yun hurriedly put away the altar. At the same time, the spatial god also opened a spatial passageway. The spatial passageway led to the heavenly sword formation, and it also needed to be stable. Therefore, it consumed a lot of the spatial god's divine power, causing him to only be able to open a door that was so big that only one person could enter at a time. Su Xin, go and contact the White Commander and the others. Let them arrange to receive the Purple Sun Elf race. Qin Yun said, Princess Luo, you and I will go out and lure them away. Luo Yaofeng also knew the sovereigns of the heavens. The sovereigns of the heavens had once shaken the 9 heavens, and Luo Yaofeng was the 9 heavens goddess and also the shadow god king. They were also very familiar with each other. You guys, Bai Suxin is somewhat worried. Don't worry. Qin Yun looked at Xiao Wufeng and said, Boss, yeah. After I go out and attract their attention, you quietly go out and destroy their attack ship. All right. Xia Wufeng walked over. He has improved greatly in the myriad realm's divine court, and with his extraordinary talent, he can also deeply comprehend the sword god's divine position. Therefore, his cultivation and strength have increased greatly. As long as those guys don't continue attacking, I can open a bigger spatial passageway and retreat faster. The spatial god said, "Brother, remember to use my teleportation pearl to escape." Got it. Qinyan nodded at Luo Yaofeng and walked out with her. Big brother, you have to be careful. Seeing Qinyan walk out, Princess Feng Feng suddenly shouted. She naturally knew that Qinyan wanted to go out and lure away the sovereigns of the heavens. Qinyan turned his head and smiled at her, then quickly walked out with Luo Yaofeng. After walking out of the hall, Qinyan grabbed Luo Yaofeng's hand and said in low voice, "Don't be afraid. Nothing will happen." This is not the first time Qinyan is facing the sovereigns of the heavens. Last time, he was chased by the sovereigns of the heavens. He couldn't beat them, but it would also be very difficult for the sovereigns to kill him. After walking out of the passageway, Qinyan immediately released the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. The blue square pagoda suddenly appeared, and the attacks in the sky immediately stopped. Qinyan and Luo Yaofeng are inside the pagoda. They saw that the sky is filled with all kinds of huge ships. Those huge ships all have a very strong energy source inside them. They condensed all kinds of energy and madly bombarded the divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain. There are also more than 10 heavenly monarchs standing on the bow of the ship, using their own divine power to attack the divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain. The sudden appearance of the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda caused all kinds of attacks to stop. "Qinyan, you are really here." The sovereigns of the heavens sneered. "Fine, I will devour you today and fix this variable." Sovereigns of the heavens, are you looking for a purple box? That box is in my hands. Qinyan said. What? Don't try to trick me. You want to lure me away so that they can escape. The sovereigns of the heavens sneered. Qinyan controlled a wall to become completely transparent. At the same time, he controlled the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda to float, allowing the divine nation's huge ship to see him. "You can see me, right?" Qinyan said with a smile. "Shadow God King, as expected, you are together with this tool." The sovereigns of the heavens laughed loudly and said, "He is about to be devoured by me. Ha ha, you are really a short-sighted woman." The sovereigns of the heavens can see Qinyan, so they can also see Luo Yaofeng beside Qinyan. Chapter 2446. Qinyan, do you know what's inside that box? Do you know how important that box is? You tool, quickly hand over the box to me. You don't deserve that box. All heaven's sovereign emperors shouted in anger. All heaven's sovereign emperors thought that Qinyan didn't know about the bloodline heavenly rune and only wanted to use the box to lure him away. Of course I don't know what's inside the box, and I can't open it. But I know, you idiot, you really want that box. I am very sure that you will chase me like a dog. Qinyan laughed heartily. Qinyan, even if you are happy cursing me, in the end you won't get anything. You will be devoured by me in the end. All heaven's sovereign emperor's voice was cold and angry. That monstrous killing intent enveloped down. Even divine King Jiangxian and the others felt fear in their hearts. Stupid dog, do you really think that whatever the heavenly rules and orthodoxies say is true? You really believe it? You are really a hopelessly stupid dog. Qinyan laughed loudly as he controlled the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda to fly in a certain direction. Chase! Gather all the power, we must break that pagoda. All heaven's sovereign emperors shouted loudly. He is extremely angry, but he can't do anything to Qinyan. In the eyes of all heaven's sovereign emperors, no matter how amazing Qinyan is, he is just a tool. In the end, he will be devoured and become the new heavenly Tao. Although Qinyan's nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda's flying speed is very fast, Shun Tianjun, who is chasing behind, is also not slow. He is crazily attacking the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda from behind. The nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda didn't shake much, but all kinds of explosions and vibrations caused Qin Yun and Luo Yaofeng inside the pagoda to feel fear. "Brother Yun, I'm scared." Luo Yaofeng suddenly leaned on Qin Yun and hugged him tightly. Her beautiful and gentle face is filled with fear as she timidly shouted. Qin Yun pinched her face and said with smile, "You are the Nine Heavens female devil butcher, Nine Heavens shadow god king. What are you afraid of?" "I should be the one afraid. I have never faced such a big scene before." "If you are afraid, then hug me tightly," Luo Yaofeng suddenly said with charming smile. Qin Yun hugged Luo Yaofeng tightly and sat in a corner. He secretly controlled the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda to fly. "Brother Yun, is that box really a bloodline heavenly pattern box?" Luo Yaofeng asked. "The purple box has already been put away by Qin Yun. It was given to me by the purple sun fairy emperor," Qin Yun said. "He only temporarily handed it over to me for safekeeping and asked me to lure away the empyreans of the heavens." He also told Luo Yaofeng about Zao being tricked by the White Sun Elf Emperor. After Luo Yaofeng heard this, he said, "It's very likely that the White Sun Elf Emperor has a bloodline heavenly mark. If he really has one, he will definitely give it to the venerable sovereigns. I think it's possible. You should know how to use bloodline heavenly runes." Qin Yun nodded. The D-venerables followed behind, while a few powerful Shantian lords flew in front of the nine-sun sky-raising pagoda, attacking it from all directions. "Brother Yin, we can't go on like this," Luo Yaofeng said. "What if this tower is breached?" "Don't worry, it won't be breached." Qin Yun took out the divine King Heavenly Seal. Luo Yaofeng looked at the heavenly seal in Qin Yun's hand and asked, "Brother Yun, is your heavenly seal complete?" Qin Yun shook his head. "Not only is it incomplete, it's still in the growth stage. How can it be stronger than my Yushan seal? My Yushan seal was also destroyed." Luo Yaofeng sighed softly. The Yushan seal had followed her for many years, but after she came to the Divine Desolate, it wasn't that useful and wasn't strong enough. "It's fine, you still have the Wind God Divine Seat," Qin Yun said with a smile. Then he gripped the Divine King Heavenly Seal tightly, wanting to activate it to draw the divine power of the three myriad realms' divine sons. "Brother Divine King, you have to protect me," Luo Yaofeng said with a chuckle. "Come, grab my heavenly seal tightly." Qin Yun said, "I want to borrow your divine power. Try and see if you can connect the Wind God Divine Seat with the Divine King Heavenly Seal." "Oh." Luo Yaofeng and Qin Yun tightly gripped the Divine King Heavenly Seal together. Their forehands grabbed the small human-shaped statue. "It seems like it's possible," Luo Yaofeng said in low voice. "It's really miraculous." "Brother Yun, how do you want me to help you?" "Release your divine power," Qin Yun said. And at this moment, the surface of the three myriad realms' divine suns in the sky also began to churn with mist. "All right." Luo Yaofeng poured her formidable divine power into the Divine King Heavenly Seal. The Divine King Heavenly Seal has been infused with Divine Monarch's divine power. It slightly trembled and burst out with a burst of invisible strong wave. The strong wave unceasingly spread out, sending a signal to the three myriad realms' divine sons, causing them to descend with formidable divine power. "You are the Wind God. If I borrow your divine power to draw the divine power of the myriad realms' divine sons, maybe I can attract a very strong solar storm," Qin Yun said with mischievous smile. "There are dozens of flying ships chasing after the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. They don't even care about the divine universe, Purple Sun Mountain. In their eyes, the group of purple sun elves are of no value, especially in the eyes of all heaven's venerables. That bloodline rune is more precious than 10 fairy race." Originally, all heaven's venerables planned to subdue the purple sun elves and obtain the bloodline heavenly rune. But with Qin Yun's interference, his plan was ruined. After Luo Yaofeng came into contact with Qin Yun's divine King Heavenly Seal, he also sensed how strong a nearly complete heavenly seal is. Brother Ayun, what kind of existence is the myriad realms divine court? That divine judge doesn't seem to be very strong. Luo Yaofeng said, and will I also have to report to the myriad realms divine court in the future? Divine judge is not weak. He was hit by all heaven's venerable's palm, but he was still able to run back. It can be seen that he is very strong. Just as Qinyan finished speaking, a rumbling sound came from behind. Divine Judge and Xia Wufeng chased after them and launched sneak attacks on those huge flying ships. Now is the most suitable time to get rid of those huge ships, because all the heaven's venerable's thoughts are on Qinyan's 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, and others are the same. The flying ships have very strong attack power. Moreover, there are many heaven's divine nations, sacred deities, and Tao gods inside the ships. They might become divine heavenly monarchs in the future. Killing them now can weaken the heaven's divine nation's power. All heaven's venerables are flying in the sky. Their hands are constantly releasing berserk divine power and bombarding the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. He is also extremely angry in his heart. Venerables, there is a situation with the myriad realms' divine sun. Is that bastard Qin Yun borrowing the myriad realms' divine sun's divine power? Sovereign King Ba Yao said, impossible. It's that old turtle divine judge playing tricks. All heaven's venerables cursed in low voice. Sovereign King Ba Yao, go beat back that old turtle divine judge. It would be best if you can snatch his heaven's divine punishment flag. It is that flag that is drawing the myriad realms' divine sun's divine power. Yes, Sovereign King Ba Yao immediately flew to the rear to fight Xia Wufeng and Divine Judge. Qin Yun and Luo Yaofeng are still drawing the divine power of the 3 divine suns through the divine King Heavenly Seal. This process is rather long. Is it still not working? Luo Yaofeng said with frown. Wait a bit more. I used it once before, but that was through the heavenly law altar. Qin Yun said, now inside the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda. It can't be compared to inside the heavenly law altar, but it will be very soon. If not for the 9-sun heaven-raising pagoda, it might take even longer. The divine King Heavenly Seal can't immediately draw the power of the myriad realms' divine Sunday. This is mainly because the myriad realms' divine sun and the divine King Heavenly Seal are still in the growth stage. They are not perfectly compatible with each other. Of course, drawing it now is already very good. Qin Yun had entered 3 myriad realms' divine suns. The 3 9-yang divine maidens in the divine sun's cores had helped Qin Yun refine the godly monarch heavenly seal and brand it with a divine sun mark, allowing him to draw upon the divine power of the myriad realms' divine suns. Behind them, Xia Wufeng and Divine Judge also started fighting with Sovereign King Ba Yao. When they started fighting, the commotion is very big. It's good that Divine Judge and the others are not following us. Otherwise, we might accidentally injure them later. Qin Yun also saw that more than half of the dozens of ships chasing after them have been killed by Divine Judge and Xia Wufeng. Brother Ayun, my divine power is being drained very quickly. Is it time to start? Luo Yaofeng suddenly said somewhat excitedly. And Qin Yun is somewhat surprised and said, my divine power is not being drained at all. Could it be that the myriad realms' divine sun is only extracting your divine power? It should be. Luo Yaofeng nodded and said, all right, then try to create a gust of wind. Qin Yun said. Luo Yaofeng closed her eyes and began casting. As the wind god, she is most proficient in wind power. It is also at this moment that a burst of golden gale suddenly appeared high up in the sky. It is like a raging storm blowing over from the distant sky. The 3 myriad realms' divine suns in the sky constantly shot out waves of golden lightning that fell into the gale, increasing the power of the gale. After the Empyreans sensed the gale, they cursed in low voice. Damn Divine Judge, when did this guy borrow such strong myriad realms' divine sun power? Empyreans, what should we do now? Divine King Jiang Xian flew over. He is also frightened by the whistling divine sunstorm. Temporarily move away. We will quietly observe the situation from afar. The Empyreans are very close to the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. They have no choice but to move away. The large group of people and the flying ship surrounding the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda suddenly scattered in all directions. The golden lightning storm suddenly arrived and enveloped the nine suns sky-raising pagoda with the mighty might of the divine sun. The gale speed is very fast, like a huge wave formed by golden lightning. It brought the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda forward at an even faster speed. Great! Qin Yun breathed a sigh of relief and said with a smile, "Those guys don't dare to chase, they can't catch up." A lot of divine power in Luo Yaofeng's body has been drained. She is now somewhat weak. "Princess Luo, are you all right?" Qin Yun hugged her waist and kissed her forehead. "Of course I'm fine." Luo Yaofeng lightly smiled and kissed Qin Yun's face. Then she leaned on Qin Yun and operated Sun and Moon Heart Sutra to recover her energy consumption. The nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda is absorbing the divine power of the divine sunstorm outside. The pagoda is filled with all kinds of rich divine sun power. Through the Sun and Moon Heart Sutra, Luo Yaofeng can quickly absorb divine power. Chapter 2447. This time was different from last time. Last time, because Qin Yun entered the myriad realms' divine sun, the Empyrean sovereigns thought that Qin Yun was dead for sure and did not dare to chase after him. So they did not continue chasing after Qin Yun. But this time, the Empyrean sovereigns led a large group of experts to chase after the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda and even launched a frenzied attack. In the end, they were still unable to break through the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda and even let Qin Yun escape. The Empyrean sovereigns had always claimed that as long as Qin Yun was not in the heavenly sword formation, he would definitely be able to kill Qin Yun. Not only was Qin Yun not in the heavenly sword formation, he had also taken the initiative to deliver himself to him. Yet, the Empyrean sovereigns still could not take Qin Yun down. This made him wonder if the fate trajectory recorded in the Heavenly Rules Tao orthodoxy was wrong. Previously, he could not kill Qin Yun and believed that there was a slight deviation. This kind of thing was also normal. And now, he could not kill Qin Yun the second time, which meant that the deviation was huge. "Empyrean, what should we do now? Continue chasing?" Tyrant Demon Sovereign King flew back and asked. "There's a very powerful divine sun power protecting the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda. It's useless even if we catch up." The Empyrean sovereigns stared at the nine-sun heaven-raising pagoda in the distance and said coldly, "Qin Yun will definitely die in my hands. His fate has long been decided. Even if there is a deviation, the result will never change. What about the Purple Sun Fairy race? Let's go back and attack them. Take down the Purple Sun Fairy Emperor and let Qin Yun exchange that box." Divine King Jiangxian said. "All right, let's go back." The Empyrean sovereigns said, "We have arranged for people to stay near the divine universe Purple Sun Mountain. They have not left the mountain yet, so they won't be able to escape in a short period of time." Heavenly Demon Divine King said. White Sun Fairy Emperor said, "The Purple Sun Fairy race has great potential. This newly born race has overall strength comparable to our White Sun Fairy race. If we can't subdue them, we must eliminate them. We must not let them join the Nine Yang Divine Palace Alliance." Divine King Jiangxian said coldly, "In the heavenly sword formation in the Sword Forest Desert, there are several powerful races, but as long as they are trapped inside, they will not be able to do anything. The divine wilderness of the heavens is so vast, but they can only hide in such a small place. They lack resources, and it's hard for them to grow. They even live in fear of venerable sovereigns all day long. Even if we don't do anything, they will still bring about their own destruction." All heaven's venerables nodded and said, "That's right. When the nine divine suns appear, I will be able to break open the heavenly sword formation with the help of the nine divine suns. At that time, I will personally capture Qin Yun and devour him in front of everyone, ending his fate." As they spoke, they began to fly towards Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain's surroundings were in complete disorder. It had been attacked for a very long time, and now the entire mountain was still protected by a powerful barrier. On the Divine Kingdom's side, a large number of flying ships had been destroyed by Xia Wufeng and the Divine Inquisitor. Now, only half of the flying ships were frantically attacking Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. The dozen Shun Tianjun were all attacking with all their might. Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain sank into a violent tremor, but the barrier was still very stable. The mountain protection array's energy comes from the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. This huge Divine Universe Purple Sun fragment. As long as we continue to attack and consume enough energy, the array will naturally weaken. In about 2 more days, we will be able to break through the formation. Divine King Jiangxian said. He was an inscription master. He was extremely proficient in this. Everyone continued to attack with all their might. Divine King Jiangxian was right. 2 days later, they finally broke through the formation. Haha, we've finally broken through the formation. Let's continue and shatter that crappy mountain. Someone laughed loudly. The experts of the divine nations of all heavens were cheering and laughing as they frantically attacked the enormous Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain below. Huge fragments of the mountain were sent flying. A large number of boulders flew out, and many large holes were blasted into the mountain. Some places even cracked. Purple Sun Fairy Emperor, you have nowhere else to go. Divine King Jiang Xian shouted loudly. Quickly come out and surrender. Swear loyalty to Dizun, and we will definitely not kill you. At this moment, they also stopped attacking and waited for the Purple Sun Fairies to come out. The white-haired White Sun Fairy Emperor held a probing tool in his hand and said with a frown, "Strange, I can't detect the Purple Sun Fairies." What? The Empyrean sovereigns' faces sank. There are no Purple Sun Fairies inside. The heavenly demon Divine King said in a deep voice. They ran away. The Empyrean sovereigns said coldly. Didn't you check if there was anyone inside? Didn't we attack for 2 days in vain? The White Sun Fairy Emperor said. They had a mountain protection array previously. We couldn't detect them. The Purple Sun Fairies had long run away, and they had foolishly attacked here for 2 days. Divine King Jiangxian and the other powerful divine heavenly monarchs all cursed in their hearts. The expressions of the Empyrean sovereigns were incomparably ugly. It was hard to imagine that a handsome young man like him would have such a twisted and terrifying face. They were lured away by Qin Yun and chased after him for a long distance. In the end, they returned without any results and continued to attack the Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain. After breaking through the formation with great difficulty, they discovered that it was empty. The Purple Sun Fairies had long since left. They did not expect the Purple Sun Fairy race to give up this Divine Universe Purple Sun Mountain, especially the Empyrean sovereigns. He was the most furious because he couldn't help but recall Qin Yin calling him a stupid dog. Now that he thought about it, he was really stupid. A dignified Empyrean sovereigns led so many experts. Among the experts were a few god kings of the god realm, a few clan emperors of powerful races, and many divine heavenly monarchs. Yet they were played in circles. It's all that damn Qin Yun's fault. Divine King Jiangxian cursed angrily. There are hundreds of Purple Sun Fairies that have been hit by my White Devil Divine curse. The Purple Sun Fairy Emperor will definitely not watch as hundreds of his clansmen die. He will come and beg me. The White Sun Fairy Emperor said with certainty. Are you confident? The Empyrean sovereigns asked. Yes, my White Devil Divine curse is extremely torturous and only I can undo it. If the Purple Sun Fairy Emperor does not want to see his clansmen live a life worse than death, he will definitely lower his head to me. The White Sun Fairy Emperor said with certainty. All right, if you can help me obtain that box. From today onwards, the Divine Desolate will divide the 9 desolate lands. You will be the overlord of a desolate land and obtain a divine sun. The Empyrean sovereigns said. When divine King Jiangxian and the others heard this, their eyes were filled with burning jealousy. With a desolate land and a divine sun, they would definitely be able to dominate an area. Yes, I will immediately head to the Sword Forest Desert. The White Sun Fairy Emperor's old face is filled with pride. He looked like a petty person intoxicated with success. He looked at divine King Jiangxian and the others as if he was showing off. Qin Yun and Luo Yaofeng are still inside the Nine-Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda. After 2 days, they're sure that no one is chasing after them. The divine sunstorm has already dissipated. They came out of the Nine-Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda. It's time to go back. Qin Yun kept the Nine-Sun Heaven-Raising Pagoda and took out the teleportation pearl. 2 days ago, he received news from the spatial god that the Purple Sun Fairy race had successfully arrived at the Heavenly Sword Formation. The Heavenly Sword Formation is very large. Although it is a desolate desert, it is very safe. Furthermore, the formation can absorb the power of the Divine Sun, so staying inside is a very good choice. Qin Yun used the teleportation pearl to bring Luo Yaofeng back to the Sword Forest Desert's Heavenly Sword Formation. After returning, Luo Yaofeng directly returned to the Divine Moon Race's side. She wanted to go back and tell Yushang Yun that everything went smoothly, and Qin Yun also has a very important matter to do. He immediately headed to the area where the Purple Sun Fairy race is located. The Heavenly Sword Formation is divided into 5 layers. The center is where the Nine-Yang Divine Palace is located, and from the center, there are 3 ring regions. The Divine Moon Race and the Guanghan Palace are located in the east of the first ring, while the White Sun Sky City and the 3 Heavenly City are located in the south of the second ring. The Purple Sun Fairy race is arranged to be located in the north of the first ring. The strong races are located in the first ring, and their numbers are relatively small. If it was a huge city, it would be located in the second ring. For example, the huge city built by the Nine-Sun royal family is located in the second ring. Qin Yun quickly arrived at the location of the Purple Sun Fairy race. They're currently building their own villa. After Qin Yun arrived outside, he released a sun dragon altar. There are still several hundred Purple Sun elves inside the altar. They have been hit by the White Devil Divine Curse. If the Purple Sun elves who have been hit by the White Devil Divine Curse are inside the altar, the curse power within their bodies will not flare up. Once they go out, they will be in excruciating pain. When Zhao saw that Qin Yun was able to return, a smile appeared on his face. He brought Princess Feng Feng and hurriedly walked towards the altar. Bai Suxin is also here. She told Zhao and the others many things regarding the White Sun elves. Brother Qin, it's been hard on you, Zhao said with a smile. It's fine. Qin Yun looked at the sky. It's almost nighttime. He said, I thought a way to give it a try. If it goes smoothly, we can get rid of the White Devil Divine Curse. Let's proceed through the night. Zhao is somewhat excited and hurriedly asked, Brother Qin, is there anything I can help with? Princess Feng Feng said in a low voice, Daddy, you can't help. Don't cause trouble for Big Brother. Qin Yun said with a smile, Feng Feng, if my method is effective, you Purple Sun elves will be able to help. Is that so? That's great. What method is it? Princess Feng Feng asked anxiously. Blood exchange. Qin Yun said, the blood of those who have been hit by the White Devil Divine Curse will be infected by the curse power. My method is to drain all the blood in their bodies and then inject new Purple Sun Elf blood. Bai Suxin said, we can give it a try. Inside the altar, the curse power is suppressed and won't regenerate. As long as the cursed blood is extracted and new blood is injected, the new blood is strong enough, so it won't be infected. All right, let's begin immediately. Zhao said, use my blood is strong. Qin Yun nodded at Bai Suxin, because he will need her help when the time comes. Her White Sun divine power can quickly regenerate the blood. After injecting half of the new blood, Bai Suxin would help to regenerate that half of the new blood and fill the entire body. This way, people can quickly fuse with the new blood. Chapter 2448. This blood exchange method sounds simple, but it is very difficult to execute. The conditions required are very harsh. First of all, it must be done in an isolated environment to prevent the person under the curse from activating the curse power. Inside the altar, it can be completely isolated. The purple sun elves who have been affected by the white devil divine curse entered the altar as if nothing happened. However, their bodies are still filled with curse power. Once they leave the altar, the white devil divine curse will relapse, and they will once again fall into a state of unbearable pain. Furthermore, it is not easy to completely extract the curse power, because the curse power is very tightly entangled with the flesh, blood, bones, and even the soul. Without a brilliant method, it is impossible to completely extract the curse power. Qingyun can do it because he has Nether Sun and Nether Moon. Nether Sun can devour the curse power within the body, and Nether Moon can devour the curse power within the soul. This step is very crucial. Once this step is completed, blood transfusion and regeneration will be much easier. The youth who is willing to participate in the experiment is now completely relaxed, allowing Qingyun to pour the devouring power into his body. Qingyun poured in the Nether Sun devouring power, and the Nether Sun totem entered the youth's body and began devouring the blood containing curse power. At the same time, Qingyun poured in the Nether Moon power into the youth's soul to devour the curse power within. Qingyun proceeded very quickly and finished in a short while. The youth is now very weak because all of his blood has been devoured. His entire body is shriveled and shriveled. Zao hastily channeled his purple sun divine power into the youth's body to stabilize his body. Then he channeled his blood. The entire process is very smooth and fast. It doesn't take long. Zao doesn't need to channel a lot of blood. As long as a bit of his blood enters the youth's body, with Bai Suxin's divine power, the blood will quickly regenerate. All right, Qingyun said with a smile. Let's see if the blood in his body has turned white. If someone is infected by the white devil divine curse, their blood will quickly turn white. After some investigation, the regenerated blood in the youth's body is purple in color. Moreover, after he left the altar, his entire body returned to normal. Finally removed the white devil divine curse. Although the process is still somewhat complicated, this method is very effective. Bai Suxin said with a smile. She also admires Qingyun in her heart. Come, let's join hands and quickly help everyone remove the white devil divine curse. Qingyun said with a smile. Although it was already night, Qingyun and company were still in high spirits. They seized the time to help the few hundred purple sun elves undo the curse. Qingyun was in charge of devouring the hex power. Zao and the other powerful purple sun elves were in charge of blood transfusions. Bai Suxin was in charge of supplying their white sun divine powers to hasten the recovery of their blood. Overnight, the purple sun elves that had been hit by the white devil curse all recovered. However, their bodies were still weak, and they still needed some time to adapt to the new blood. After that, Qingyun could put away the altar. After a busy night, they were not tired, but they still took a simple rest. Bai Suxin also returned to Divine Moon Heaven City, while Qingyun returned to Nine-Yang Divine Palace to rest. At noon, Qingyun, who was resting in the Nine-Yang Divine Palace with his eyes closed, was woken up by the little palace spirit. Big Brother Palace King, the White Sun Fairy Emperor, is outside the heavenly sword formation. The little palace spirit said, "This guy is threatening the Purple Sun Fairy Emperor." Threat? When Qingyun heard that, he immediately thought of the purpose of the White Sun Fairy Emperor's visit. The White Sun Fairy Emperor must have thought that the few hundred purple sun elves that had been hit by the White Devil Curse were still in excruciating pain. However, those few hundred purple sun elves had long since escaped from the torment of pain. This morning, the White Devil Curse in the bodies of all the purple sun elves had been completely broken. Qingyun immediately left the Nine-Yang Divine Palace and headed for the Ziyang Villa. This was the new home built by the Purple Sun Elves. It was almost complete, and there were many fake mountains and rivers inside. There were also lush green trees. When he arrived, he saw Princess Foam flying around in an empty space. She was leading a group of young elves in pursuit training. This little girl is quite diligent. Qin Yin came to find Zhao. He was worried that Zhao would get hot-headed and rush out to fight the White Sun Fairy Emperor. When Zhao learned that Qin Yin had arrived, he immediately came out to welcome him. He brought him to a house beside a pool. The White Sun Fairy Emperor is here, he's outside. Brother Z, you should know about this, right? Qin Yin asked. That guy is shouting outside, of course I know. Zhao said with a smile. I was just about to go find Brother Qin and discuss if I should go out. Zhao was not threatened by the White Sun Fairy Emperor at all, so he was very calm. There's no need to go out. If we go out and fight that guy and get hit by the White Devil curse, we can only retreat. In addition, there is a high chance that the Empyreans of the heavens are lying in ambush nearby. Qin Yin said, let that guy stay outside. I'll listen to you. Zhao said, right now, we should peacefully develop. Our Purple Sun Fairy race still has too few people. We need some time to grow. Qin Yin nodded and said, that's for the best. This white-haired beauty who was as gentle as water. Her gentle laughter was filled with coquettish anger. Her beautiful eyes revealed a trace of charming ripples that could cause one's heart to ripple. Qin Yin walked over and held by Su Xin's gentle lily-white hands. He said with a smile, of course it's because I missed you. You honest Qin, you're not honest at all. Bai Su Xin chuckled and then leaned into Qin Yun's embrace. She said in a soft voice, I missed you too. Qin Yin hugged her and kissed her cheek. He said with a smile, I'm going out to meet the White Sun Fairy Emperor. I plan to bring you along. That's very dangerous. Bai Su Xin suddenly raised her head from Qin Yun's embrace and looked at Qin Yun with a frown. She said, I forbid you to go, it's too risky. Qin Yun caressed her jade-like face and said with a smile, that's why I want you to accompany me and protect me. No way, no way. Bai Su Xin shook her head repeatedly, because not only would they have to face the White Sun Fairy Emperor, there might even be experts from the Divine Kingdom lying in ambush. Qin Yin suddenly kissed Bai Su Xin and hugged her tightly in his arms. Bai Su Xin and Qin Yun hugged and kissed for a while before her heart softened. She said in a low voice, you actually used this move on me. Why do you want to find the White Sun Fairy Emperor? Do you have to find him? I suspect that he has a box. Qin Yin carried Bai Su Xin and sat down on a chair. Box. Another box? Bai Su Xin shook her head and sighed. Why are you looking for that box? It's an ominous item. Qin Yin was alarmed. He looked at the white-haired beauty in his arms and stared at her beautiful eyes. He asked, Su Xin, do you know about that box? Bai Su Xin caressed Qin Yun's cheek with her lily-white hands and sighed faintly. Of course I know. That box was originally in my father's hands, but it was later obtained by the White Sun Fairy Emperor. For many years, my father has been a fugitive because of this box. In the end, in order to save my mother, he had no choice but to hand the box over to the White Sun Fairy Emperor. Is this what happened after you left the White Sun God realm? Qin Yin was very surprised. He never expected that the box actually belonged to the White Sun God King. Chapter 2449. The White Sun Divine King had the bloodline heavenly pattern box, and he had it for many years. However, he still did not know what use the box had. When Bai Su Xin learned that the Empyreans wanted to snatch the Purple Sun Elf race's box, she was very shocked. She knew then that the box in Zhao's hands was definitely similar to her father's. She did not tell Qin Yin about it, because her father's box had already been given to the White Sun Elf Emperor. Is that box really that important? Bai Su Xin did not know about the bloodline heavenly pattern. Even if she was told that it was a bloodline heavenly pattern, she would not know what it was. If the Empyreans obtain it, their strength will definitely increase greatly. I want to confirm whether or not your father's box has fallen into the hands of the Empyreans. If it's in the hands of the White Sun Elf Emperor, it'll be much easier. Qin Yin nodded and hugged the white-haired beauty in his arms. Everyone knew that the Empyreans must kill Qin Yun. It could be said that, because as long as he killed Qin Yun, he could obtain Qin Yun's divine king heavenly seal and become the new heavenly Tao. After the Empyreans were born, their main goal was to kill Qin Yun. Only by becoming stronger could Qin Yun fight against the Empyreans. Therefore, he had to stop the Empyreans from becoming stronger. "Then I'll help you get that box." Bai Suxin sighed softly. "When my father came to find me, he told me to stay away from trouble." "Suxin, I won't let you get involved in trouble. You just need to tell me about the White Sun Elf Emperor and let me go deceive him." Qin Yun gently pinched Bai Suxin's face and said with a smile, "It'll be fine, don't worry. That won't do. Your current strength is not enough. I can't let you face the White Sun Elf Emperor alone." Bai Suxin held Qin Yun's hand tightly. "All right, come with me." "All right, does he know you?" Qin Yun asked. "He doesn't know me. There are so many people in the White Sun Divine Realm. Of course, he can't recognize all of them." Bai Suxin was afraid that Qin Yun would leave her behind and act alone. Seeing that Qin Yun agreed to bring her along, a beautiful smile appeared on her face. Following that, Qin Yun asked about the White Sun Elf Emperor, and Bai Suxin told Qin Yun everything she knew. The White Sun Elf Emperor was an old man who had lived for a very long time. He was very ruthless. Once, because his son ruined his plans, he was enraged and executed his son in front of everyone. He even used very cruel methods. He had many children, but only a few of them could stay by his side, mainly because they were afraid of being killed by him. So, after his children had some strength, most of them left for other places, far away from this cruel and merciless father. The White Sun Elf Emperor was not only cruel and ruthless, but he was also very despicable and sinister. He was a very cunning fellow who only cared about profit. He could even betray anyone for profit. In order to obtain White Sun Divine King's box, he had once planned for his two daughters to encounter White Sun Divine King by chance. Then he had White Sun Divine King save them so that he could get close to White Sun Divine King. In the end, White Sun God King discovered the scheme and didn't fall into the trap. He even helped the White Sun Elven Emperor's two daughters escape from their cruel father. His two daughters have signed a soul contract. It was not easy for my parents to undo the contract and let them go far away. Bai Suxin sighed. The White Sun Elf Emperor worked hard for so many years to obtain your father's box, so he definitely wouldn't give it to the Emperors of the Heavens so easily. Qin Yun said, "Yes, unless the Emperors of the Heavens give him a generous enough reward. He won't give it to the Emperors of the Heavens, even if he dies." Bai Suxin nodded and said, "That box is of no use to him. Otherwise, when he came to the Divine Desolate, he wouldn't have gone to my father to ask about the use of the box." "Oh, he even went to look for your father later on?" Qin Yun said in shock. "After all, that box has been in my father's hands for a very long time. The White Sun Elf Emperor believes that my father must know a lot about it." Bai Suxin shook her head and said, "My father doesn't know much either. He only knows that the box is very, very important." Qin Yun's eyes lit up as he said with a smile, "If that's the case, then it'll be easy." Bai Suxin pinched Qin Yun's hand and said in a low voice, "Xiao Yun, do you have any plans? You must talk to me, discuss it with me." Qin Yun kissed her cheek and said with a smile, "My little queen, don't worry. I said that I would bring you along. How about we call Sister Luo?" Bai Suxin said, "She's very strong, much stronger than me. With her accompanying, it'll be even safer." "Then you won't be jealous, right?" Qin Yun said with a chuckle. "Who's jealous?" Bai Suxin laughed in annoyance and pinched Qin Yun's waist. "If I want to eat, I'll eat you." Qin Yun took out the Divine King Heavenly Seal and called Luo Yaofeng over. Luo Yaofeng also has a box, and she gave it to Qin Yun. Therefore, Qin Yun wants to have a chat with Luo Yaofeng and listen to her opinion. Not long after, Luo Yaofeng also arrived at the Nine-Yang Divine Palace's Heavenly Palace and entered the secret room. Previously, Qin Yun and Bai Suxin were hugging each other as they sat on a chair, flirting with each other. However, after Luo Yaofeng arrived, they were no longer together. "You guys are having a secret rendezvous. Did you call me here to watch the show? After Luo Yaofeng arrived, she looked at Qin Yun and Bai Suxin and teased them with a smile. Sister Luo, what are you talking about? Bai Suxin walked over and smacked Luo Yaofeng's butt. Why does our King White Sun not have the aura of a queen at all? Luo Yaofeng said with a charming smile. Normally, Bai Suxin indeed has a very cold and arrogant aura. This is very similar to Yu Shangyun. Of course, in front of Qin Yun, she is a gentle queen. Although that kind of aura is still there, it has turned into a kind of gentleness. Luo Yaofeng is the Shadow God King and also a female devil slayer. However, she doesn't have a dignified and regal aura like Yu Shangyun. When she is serious, her entire body is filled with a kind of sharp and frightening ruthlessness. She is indeed a female devil slayer. Of course, when she is with her friends in private, she is a little mischievous girl. When she is with Qin Yun, she is a little charming, and from time to time, she would act coquettishly. And when she is not mischievous, she appears elegant and quiet. She is a multifaceted beauty. Xiao Yin really has something important to talk to us about. Bai Suxin rubbed Luo Yaofeng's face with both of her hands. It can be seen that her relationship with Luo Yaofeng is extremely good. She did not dare to attack Yu Shangyun like this. However, even if she were to rub Yu Shangyun's face, Yu Shangyun would only find it strange and would not say anything. Little queen, did he use Dragon Claw hand on you? Luo Yaofeng giggled and looked at Qin Yun with a very righteous look. She laughed and shouted, Scoundrel, let go of little queen. Just use your Dragon Claw hand on me. These words caused Bai Suxin to blush a little, because Qin Yun once used Dragon Claw hand on her, and she even secretly told Luo Yaofeng about it. Qin Yun really went over and pinched Luo Yaofeng's waist with a smile. Ayo! Luo Yaofeng shouted delicately. She rubbed her waist and said, Where's the promised Dragon Claw hand? My sister Luo, why are you becoming more and more mischievous? Qin Yun said with a smile. My brother Ayun, why are you becoming more and more honest? Luo Yaofeng said with a charming smile. You honest Qin, secretly meeting with the little queen. You even call me over? Aren't you afraid that the little queen's vinegar jar will overturn? It's about the box, Qin Yun said. The smile on Luo Yaofeng's face suddenly disappeared. She glanced at Bai Suxin, and the atmosphere immediately became very serious. Suxin's father once had a white box, but it was snatched away by the White Sun Elf Emperor. Qin Yun said, The White Sun Elf Emperor is outside. The box should be with him. I want to snatch it back. Luo Yaofeng thought that Qin Yun had told Bai Suxin about her bloodline heavenly pattern box. Of course, even if Qin Yun told Bai Suxin, she wouldn't say anything because she had always believed that a man's mouth was unreliable, especially in front of a beauty. Now that she knew that the box Qin Yun was talking about was Bai Suxin's father's box, she understood. Little queen, I won't hide it from you. I also have a box, and I gave it to Brother Yin. Luo Yaofeng said because she believed that it was necessary for Bai Suxin to know about this matter. Qin Yun spread his hands and said with a smile, Sister Luo, you said it first. I didn't tell Suxin. Suxin, when did you get your father's box? Luo Yaofeng asked. He said he was born with it. Bai Suxin is also confused. She never expected that there would be so many boxes. Even Luo Yaofeng has one. You can't tell Sister Shangyun about me giving the box to Brother Yun. Understand? Luo Yaofeng pulled Bai Suxin's hand and warned her. Bai Suxin nodded. Soon after, Qin Yun took out 3 boxes and placed them on the table. This 3. Luo Yaofeng jumped up and cried out in alarm. She never expected that Qin Yun would also have one. Qin Yun had obtained Xie Keru's bloodline heavenly pattern box long ago, but he did not tell Luo Yaofeng. I got one a long time ago, Qin Yun said with a shrug. This is Sister Keru's. Luo Yaofeng promptly walked over and looked at the blue bloodline heavenly pattern box. It's a long story. Qin Yun simply explained that he obtained this box from Nine Sun royal family's big box. Then he told Luo Yaofeng that the Heaven Creation 5 Emperors are looking for bloodline heavenly pattern. Heaven Creation Divine Palace Bastards Not only did they send a myriad heaven's venerable emperor to stir up shit, they even set their eyes on bloodline heavenly pattern. Moreover, they even have designs on 9 divine sons of myriad worlds. Luo Yaofeng cursed in low voice. Xiao Yun, how do you plan to snatch White Sun Elven Spirit Emperor's box? That guy is very difficult to deal with. Bai Suxin said. Qin Yun picked up the blue bloodline heavenly pattern box and said, I plan to meet him and then take out this box. I will first get close to him and then act according to the situation. You will pretend to be my attendants and follow me. Attendants? That's not good. I will pretend to be your little wife. Luo Yaofeng said with smile. I am the big wife. Little queen is your little wife. Not good. Qin Yun shook his head and said, It's settled then. Luo Yaofeng smiled tenderly and said, Brother Yun, let's go. All right, then you have to change your appearance. White Sun Elf Emperor has seen you before. Qin Yun said. Luo Yaofeng took out a mask and put it on. She said, Is this okay? Xiao Yun, why don't you pretend to be someone from White Sun Divine Realm? This way he can relax his vigilance. Bai Suxin said with smile. Become white hair and white eyebrows. That's easy. Chapter 2450. Bai Suxin took out a white liquid and stuck it on the comb. She combed Qin Yun's hair white and even emitted a weak white sun divine power. Let me do the eyebrows. Luo Yaofeng found it rather amusing. She smiled and used the white liquid to dye Qin Yun's eyebrows white. Qin Yun pinched the laughing Luo Yaofeng and said, Since I'm from the White Sun Divine Realm, then my first wife should be the little queen. Sister Luo, you are my little wife after I came to the divine desolate land. That's more reasonable. All right, I'm your little wife. Luo Yaofeng hurriedly grabbed Qin Yun's arm and said with a smile, Brother Yun, do you want your first wife to accompany you tonight or your second wife? Or the two of us will accompany you. This caused Bai Suxin's face to turn slightly red. However, she found it rather amusing and could not stop chuckling. You guys accompany me to deceive the White Sun Elf Emperor. If I get beaten up, you guys have to protect me, understand? Qin Yun said with a laugh. Then, he hugged the two women's slender waists. If it was just outside the heavenly sword formation, Qin Yun would not be afraid because they could immediately run back into the formation. Luo Yaofeng took off her mask and changed into a veil. She was the same as Bai Suxin. She covered her face with a white veil and entered Qin Yun's heaven-leaping shuttle. Then, she left the Nine-Yang Divine Palace and flew outside. The White Sun Elf Emperor was shouting and shouting outside. He kept saying all sorts of threatening words, mainly aimed at the Purple Sun Elf race. The few hundred Purple Sun Elves that had been hit by the White Devil Divine Curse were now alive and kicking. Zao, the Elf Emperor, would not fall for it. For the sake of the White Sun Elf Emperor's box, Qin Yun could only take the risk and give it a try. This was a good opportunity. He could not miss it. He did not want the White Sun Elf Emperor to hand the box over to the Empyreans in the future. Once the box fell into the hands of the Empyreans, it would be very difficult to obtain it again. Not long after, the heaven-leaping shuttle flew out from the east side of the heavenly sword formation. He wanted to circle from the east to the north and pretend to meet the White Sun Elf Emperor. Bai Suxin and Luo Yaofeng came out of Sky Leaping Shuttle. Both of them wore white dresses of the same style, and their bodies were incredibly good. Even though their faces were covered by thin veils, it was still clear that they were rare beauties. They were holding hands, talking and laughing as they followed behind Qin Yun. They looked like two sisters who had a very good relationship. Back on the heavenly leaping shuttle, Qin Yun had discussed with them and finally decided to expose their powerful strength. In this way, the White Sun Elf Emperor wouldn't dare to underestimate him. The concubines around him were already so strong, and to be able to subdue them, he must be very strong. Qin Yun planned on hiding his cultivation level so that the White Sun Elf Emperor wouldn't be able to tell that he was at the Saint God realm. Only by doing so could he pretend that he was hiding his strength. After flying for less than an hour, Qin Yun and company could finally sense the aura of the White Sun Elf Emperor. Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin, who had been chatting and laughing with each other, looked as if they had become completely different people. Bai Suxin's expression was cold and stern. There was a faint might in her eyes, and with the cold arrogance in her eyes, she looked like a mighty and proud queen. Luo Yaofeng, on the other hand, was expressionless. From time to time, her eyes would flash with a kind of ruthlessness and killing intent. She did not hide the ruthlessness of a female devil slayer. Qin Yun also knew that they had entered a state of mind. He hurriedly took out a blue robe and put it on. The blue robe he was wearing was engraved with very complicated dragon transformation runes. Furthermore, there were quite a few sun dragon runes. Anyone who knew a little about runes would know that it was an extremely brilliant and rare rune. Qin Yun had also changed his appearance, making him look like a middle-aged man. The shape of his face had also been made a lot more square. Furthermore, he had 2 strands of white beard, and his chin was also filled with white beard. When they flew over, Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin's divine power aura had already spread out. After the White Sun Elf Emperor sensed it from afar, he immediately flew over with his people. The White Sun Elf Emperor was a slightly old man. There were some wrinkles on his face, and his pointed ears were also somewhat shriveled. However, he had a very domineering aura. His entire being was brimming with energy, and he was extremely spirited. And beside him were 3 white sun elves, an old man, and 2 middle-aged men. They were all divine heavenly lords who were not weak. After they arrived, they could tell with a glance that Qin Yun and Bai Suxin came from the White Sun God realm. Therefore, they were very curious. Of course, they did not underestimate Luo Yaofeng because the divine power aura on his body was very strong, not inferior to theirs. They looked at Qin Yun with curiosity. A person with 2 beautiful and powerful women, this person was definitely very strong. Your Excellency is from the White Sun Elf race. Qin Yun smiled faintly. What a coincidence to be able to meet someone from my hometown in the God Desolate. Who are you? I've never heard of someone like you in the White Sun God realm. The White Sun Elf Emperor was very vigilant as he asked with a cold expression. I am Morong Phylong. You're just a nobody. It's normal that you haven't heard of me. Qin Yun smiled, then looked at the 2 women beside him and said, These 2 are my first and second wives. Their personalities are like this. Please forgive them. Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin's aura is very strong, almost suppressing the White Sun Elf Emperor's side. Furthermore, they are currently filled with vigilance as they stared fixedly at the White Sun Elf Emperor and company. The White Sun Elf Emperor and the others are extremely jealous and envious. It is already very rare to find a divine heavenly lord woman as a companion, let alone 2. And generally speaking, powerful women are all very cold and aloof. How could they be willing to be someone else's second wife? I am Emperor Yi, the White Sun Elf Emperor. Emperor Yi's voice is still cold, but it is not as strong as before. So, it's the White Sun Elf Emperor. I've heard a lot about you. Qin Yun said with a look of shock. I never thought that I would actually meet a legendary person from the White Sun God realm. Although you are not famous, for a hidden expert like you, there is no need to belittle yourself. Emperor Yi revealed a smile and said, I wonder why you have come here? Although this place is the famous Sword Forest Desert and the Heavenly Sword Formation, it is difficult to enter. Qin Yun said with a smile, I am an inscription master. The Heavenly Sword Formation is a rare heavenly creation, great formation. I came here to take a look, but I never expected to meet the Elf Emperor. This is also the second great figure from the White Sun Divine Realm that I have met since I came to the Divine Desolate. Oh, then which great figure from the White Sun Divine Realm did you meet before? Emperor Yi asked curiously. Divine King White Sun. Qin Yun said, We only had a simple conversation. You met him? He was defeated by me. Emperor Yi sneered, his face filled with pride. Qin Yun is rather worried. He is afraid that Bai Suxin will fly into a rage. What he did not expect is that Bai Suxin suddenly said, Divine King White Sun has a weak personality and is indecisive. He was lucky enough to become a divine king and obtained a part of the heaven seal. Otherwise, he would not be as good as me. Emperor Yi was startled and said with a smile, Brother Murong, your first wife is really amazing. She is indeed very strong. Qin Yun said with a smile. Qin Yun is very surprised that Bai Suxin said that she is his father. Brother Murong, did you discover anything about the heavenly sword formation? Can you break the formation? Emperor Yi asked. If you can break the formation, I will recommend you to join the divine kingdom and become a divine king marquis. Brother Yi, I have long heard about the divine kingdom and the sovereigns of the heavens. I just did not expect that you would also join the divine kingdom. Qin Yun pretended to be surprised. Of course, this world belongs to the sovereigns of the heavens from now on. Emperor Yi shook his head and sighed. Our White Sun divine realm is about to be destroyed. Now that we are in the divine desolate, it can be said that we are under someone else's roof. But I feel that with Brother Yi's strength, there is no need for you to risk your life for the sovereigns of the heavens. Qin Yun said, I don't care about that now. Join first. If I feel that it is not good in the future, I can leave. Emperor Yi chuckled and said, Brother Murong, if you can break the formation, I will take you to the divine kingdom of heavens. We are all from the White Sun celestial realm. We can take care of each other and suppress the Nine Heavens faction. The Nine Heavens faction he mentioned should be Divine King Jiang Xian, Sky Demon Divine King, and the others from the Nine Heavens. What kind of benefits can I get from joining a divine nation? Right now, we are all powerful Shintian lords. Can the divine nations move our interests? Luo Yaofeng asked. Of course there are benefits. Once the divine desolate of the heavens grew to a certain extent, it would automatically split into 9 regions, which were the new 9 desolate. Moreover, they were all connected. At that time, one divine sun would correspond to one great wilderness. As long as the venerable sovereigns of the heavens are willing to reward us, we will be able to obtain a desolate divine sun. God's desolates, one desolate and one divine sun, is something that even a few White Sun divine worlds can't compare to. The White Sun Elf Emperor suddenly became very excited. Will the celestial sovereigns really give it to you? Bai Suxin asked. Of course I will. As long as he became the new heavenly Tao, he would reach a higher level and be above the heavens. He would no longer interfere in the matters of this world. Right now, he is only training in God's desolate and myriad realms' 9 suns. Emperor Yi laughed. Otherwise, the 9 Heavens faction wouldn't be working so hard. Although Emperor Yi was the White Sun Elf Emperor, his power was weak. Divine King Jiang Xian and the others had formed a very strong force. If the celestial sovereigns didn't care about the 9 desolate and 9 divine suns in the future, then this place would be their world. If that's the case, then the benefits are not small. It's worth fighting for. Qin Yun nodded and said, Then I'll try to see if I can open the heavenly sword formation. It doesn't matter if you can't open it. With the strength of Brother Murong and the 2 madams, after joining my camp, it can be considered as joining the divine nations. Emperor Yi said, It's not a solution for you to wander around like this. It's true that we are divine monarchs, but with the arrival of the Great Era, we will definitely be able to enter a higher realm. We can become even stronger. But the prerequisite is that we have to stand firm in God's desolate. Brother Yi is right. Qin Yun smiled and said, Then I will do my best to open this heavenly sword formation. As he spoke, he took out a blue box. Seeing the blue box in Qin Yun's hand, Emperor Yi let out a strange cry. At the same time, his eyes are filled with shock and greed. A strong desire to snatch it arose in his heart. Luo Yaofeng and Bai Suxin are now filled with vigilance. They are wary of Emperor Yi snatching Qin Yun's bloodline heavenly pattern box. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.